Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...
Books, 3 of them.
It is so funny that you think that 30 pages in a book is standard now, like is any level of what we get nowadays.
It's not it's not from the big 2 at all.
That's true. It's not a big 2 book, but like, yeah, like I look at all of our issues, I'm like, oh, what page am I on? Oh, I'm on page 12. This book's almost over. This story like better wrap, or I'm gonna be very mad.
Exactly.
But you guys don't know what we're talking about because we have secret projects that we're all working on in the back. That's for us to know and for you guys to eventually learn. And the best way to learn about it is by tuning in, hanging out with us for every new episode of Foil Variant, like we are hosting tonight. What is up, everybody? Andrew and I are back. No long week breaks this time around. We are here. We are breaks. Yeah, 2 weeks long, 1 week long, whatever. No breaks. We're here. This is 2 shows in a row. I think our
so
record
back.
Is like 3. We are so. It was so Jover, but now we're so back. And yeah, guys, so happy first show of November. We're happy to be here hanging out with you guys. There is obviously a lot of significant comic book talk to be had. There are several significant issues that dropped this week, from the X-Men to the JSA to Ebon War to Absolute Superman, of course. So we'll be breaking down all of that stuff and, of course, talking about whatever might come our way. But before we get into that, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. But before I get to them, Andrew, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty well, man. There were some good books this week. I actually, full transparency, I didn't get through, you already know this, Spencer, but I didn't get through all my books this week because I've just had so much going on at the Rippaverse work-wise and some other stuff on the side that I'm working on work-wise.
Oh, yeah.
I just have not had the time. I crammed in all of my DC books, which was 4 books, which is DC books I've had in my pull list in a long time.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah.
Last night, and then I started my Marvel books like this afternoon on my lunch break, and like I wrapped up my work, and I was like, I've got like 20 something minutes until I'm gonna knock out one more of my Marvel stack. So I managed to get through Ultimates. So I didn't get through the second issue of Aliens vs. Avengers, sadly. And I didn't get through Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood, which has been a really solid mini anthology series so far. I prioritized that one least, like last on the totem pole, because we almost never talk about it on the show. So I was like, all right, I got triage things.
Oh, yeah, no. It's completely fair. And it's like you said, like I'm rating Black Suit and Blood too. You are, every time we read it, we go, oh, did you read it? Yeah, it was pretty good. And we talk about it, we compliment it. I think what it is that it is just very, very solid. Mm-hmm. So what more do we have to talk about it on, right? Like, we're not going to rail into it because it's pretty decent, but it's also, you know, it's vignette stories. They don't really apply to main continuity. They're sort of on their own. So we can go, they're there. It's good. All right, let's keep going.
Right? That's basically it. Because there have been a couple of like standout stories, mini stories in the anthology issues thus far. But overall, it's just been like, cool. Yeah, just as you said, that was good. Moving on to the next book in my stack. right? I'm not going to dwell too much on it. I enjoyed it. I do not regret spending whatever the hell it was, $4 or $5. What's the cover price on that? $6.
Probably.
Okay.
$6.
So that's a
in this economy, Marvel.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. I know it's his fault.
But yeah, so I just haven't prioritized those. I have to prioritize things like Ebon War and Ebon War Spooderman, and obviously any of the absolute DC stuff that's out that week, because that's kind of the hot thing to talk about. Liking it or really not liking it. You know, it doesn't seem like there's that much in between discussion on the absolute books. People are like really all down for it, or they're really not.
Or they're really, really against it. And it's weird to me, too, because I've been seeing a lot. Obviously, we got Absolute Superman this week, so now all the first issues of the Absolute Universe are out there. People are talking about it. I feel like people just kind of want to fight about this, because I've seen so many people like making threads on Twitter like, all right, which one is your favorite? How does the Absolute line compare to the Ultimate line? And I'm like, you've had one issue,
right? It's like you have 3 total issues, and that's one per character.
Yeah,
that's been introduced so far. What are you even talking about?
Like,
right
what
now?
am I
Marvel
even
has
supposed to know?
Marvel has like a year head start on them, basically, when it comes to this kind of refresh of their Ultimate line, right? And so it's like, what are you even talking about, right? Why are you trying to compare those? Now, granted, the first issues of Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimates were stellar.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, 100%.
I can't speak on Ultimate X-Men, but you would probably say the same about that book.
Yep.
Ultimate Black Panther, not so much.
Oh, such a bad book. Such a bad book. It's
a book that just exists.
It really, really is. For those of you who don't remember all the times we've talked about it, the basic, like, I'm the only one here who's read it, and the consent, or at least my opinion of it, is Ultimate Black Panther is just the MCU Black Panther put onto the comic book page. And MCU Black Panther and DCEU Aquaman. Because I don't know if you remember this, Andrew, but I think it was one of our first foil variant shows. An issue of Ultimate Black Panther dropped, and I talked, and I said, yeah, still sucks, still bad, but there's a really interesting thing they're doing here. This is kind of neat. And I brought up, there's a secret like matriarchal mage society that works within Wakanda, and they offer counsel to T'Challa, and you were like, so Aquaman, that's the plot for Aquaman too. And I was like, oh wow, okay, so it doesn't even have one thing going for it. Great.
No original. The house of regurgitated ideas is what
the house of tired, stale ideas. But Ultimate Black Panther, very bad. Did you
unless
see
it's Jonathan Hickman?
If Jonathan Hickman's name is on an issue of Black Panther, I'll buy it immediately, because then I'll know it actually matters and has something to do. Dang it! What was I going to say about that?
You were about to ask me something.
I know, and then I started laughing, and now I genuinely don't remember what I was going to bring up. So, with that awesome dead stop in our train of thought, it'll probably come back to me. Let's take a moment. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat, because I see that you guys are all here. Starting with Chuck. Chuck was here. He made one comment. Literally, I did it right this time, Andrew. I set up the stream, and immediately as soon as I said, like, put it up on YouTube, I opened up the third-party chat program we have to highlight comments. Chuck commented in the 3 seconds between me hitting publish and going to open the thing. And so his comment.
So you can't highlight his.
The one comment this time.
Wow.
But Chuck is here.
What the hell, Chuck?
Chuck says, oh boy, an hour to go, to nap or not to nap. And I replied to you, Chuck, in the chat. I was in that same sort of dilemma. I was like, we've got an hour. I'm a little tired. What do I do? I laid down for 5 seconds, and then I was like, I'm not that tired. I'm going to go work on something for the stream. And I already showed you what it was, Andrew. And so we finished that up, and we can use it now.
All right. Excellent.
Who else we got? We have Corey, double gay. Correct. I mean, do you know where you are?
Are you new here?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
We got Zero here. What is up, amigo? Always a pleasure to have you hanging out with us. Whoa, we have Jonas J. Campbell. Is this a stream about different kind of foils in the multiverse? Honestly, that would be. I kind of want. I don't even know where I'm going with this because this wouldn't make a really good show or story or anything. But the idea of like different foil variants in the multiverse kind of like excites the collector in me, right? Like, maybe there's an alternate universe where the standard cover for Absolute Superman, the one by Rafael Sandoval, that got a foil cover, right? Like that's out there. Woo!
Where the hell is that box?
I know what you're gonna pick up.
Away for 2 seconds.
Okay, I know what he's gonna pick up.
Go and say that, right? So all the covers that needed to get a foil variant.
I know exactly which one he's grabbing.
Where the crap is it? I know it's here. Where are you? Oh, yeah. How about that? Look at that. There it is. Why did this not get a foil variant?
There he comes.
I'm gonna be complaining about this until the end of time. This arrives.
Told you guys, I knew that's what it was gonna be. That cover pains me, Andrew, because it is so objectively good. It's so objectively gorgeous, and I don't know why they couldn't just. I'll pay you the $2 extra to foil treat.
Yeah, exactly.
It is
so
an
bizarre. Absolutely beautiful cover, and don't get me wrong, like that's cool and all.
Right,
it's a cool piece, but I would trade this for a spot foiled version of this in less than half a heartbeat.
There's more
in a picosecond.
I like the all-in foil sort of theme they did, where everybody got that, silver foil with the character art. Yeah. But like, it's not necessarily exciting. Like, I look at that cover and I'm like, there's action. You can see like the Flash is clearly moving, all the lightning. I'm like, that's what you put foil.
These
on.
are like a half step up from the logo cover variants. Let's be real here.
No, they really are.
Like zero background, just a single character. Not necessarily in a lazy pose. Like, I've definitely seen worse Flash art than this.
We've seen Jim Lee. Yeah, we've seen Jim Lee draw it.
Jim Lee, the Flash is the Flash, not Batman or Superman just posing there like a superhero. He has to have movement. But that's a rant for another time, or a time that we've already done.
It'll happen again. I mean, we're right here. It's
inevitable,
again.
Really.
But no, like, so that the only hope I have is that I think I told you this. Sometimes when Marvel or DC or whomever do second printings of really popular books, they'll give those a foil variant and use the art from like another, like a first print cover. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're doing that for Absolute Superman with the I don't even remember whose cover it is, but the one where he's like rushing forward. I shared it with you earlier. Like, that was normal for issue 1, and in issue 2, it's foil. So maybe something will happen here. Maybe, like, that's the only thing I can hope, because it is criminal that this Dyke Ruin cover did not get. Just do the lightning at the very least, man. The lightning would have been so cool.
And this is the thing. It's the first issue of the Flash in the new all-in continuity, right? And so why wouldn't you? So okay, yeah, you gave us this again. It's cool. I like it. It actually makes me like this suit more than I usually do. But I don't know. That cover's better. But like,
objectively,
leaps and bounds. Yeah.
Like, there's not even an argument to be had here.
Like, here you have me running track, and then here you have Usain Bolt. Okay, that's basically the difference in quality.
Usain Bolt, and he's gone too far, and people are like, you need to slow down so that we can see you.
Right? Yeah, we had to dial him back a little bit.
Yeah, we had to have him run again just so we could catch him on film.
That's basically it.
But and that's sort of what is really insane to me is that DC is doing some foil covers for their these all-in starting points, like aside from the silver one you just showed up. They're doing them, but they're like, there's no real rhyme or reason to them, right? I showed you the other night, they're doing a foil variant for the issue of Batman that comes out in like January. But there's nothing, according to the solicits, there's nothing super, there's no, this is where it all changes. You got to get this issue. So there's no hype there. And then it's not like that issue is the relaunch issue or so. It's just an issue, but it gets a Jorge Jimenez beautiful foil cover with Commander Star and Batman on it. So
right,
I'm like,
and so it's I'm
what are we
pretty sure I
doing?
already pre-ordered that one too. So it's like,
great.
what is your foil scheme here?
Right.
Like
Or
what is your
what's the one we bought that we always keep laughing about? The Civil Core special, the Green Lantern one. That foil we have, completely like no other book does that foil. It's not even the all in style, but you gave one to that. All right, like I guess because it's a special, but then nobody else gets anything. It's so weird, and yeah, they're just all over the place. I don't know what their strategy is. I mean, you would have more insight as somebody in the comics, but go ahead.
I have to address this in the chat real quick. This is important and
From
insulting.
who?
Punk. He says, to me, Flash is lame. Well, to me, you're lame.
Dang, got him. No,
so, I don't know. Find some taste.
Dang, yeah.
I don't want to hear that from
Punk.
somebody reading Tom King's Zatanna. Okay.
That is true. You did read at least like 2 issues of that.
So do me a favor. Come back to me when you realize Tom King is a trash writer.
I saw Punk earlier. So Punk was talking in your Discord earlier, and I know you've been busy all day, but Punk pretty much said the same thing. He's like, I picked up these books. I know he said he picked up the New 52 Wonder Woman run by Cliff Chiang, and then he was like, he was just recounting. And he's like, yeah, to me, I haven't read anything Flash, so like I've never liked him. And I went on my best behavior. I went, that's okay. I'm going to just let him not like Flash. People cannot like characters. And like
perfectly
closed my folder of like, here are all the reasons the Flash kicks ass, like screen grabs and stuff. So no,
it's that meme where it's like the one person going, why do you like this thing? And then the other person going, give me a second. And then it's just like this massive Old Testament wall of text. Right.
Do not make us, for the like 17th time in 2 weeks, go look up the Wally West saves all of Korea from a nuclear bomb page. We will do it.
I will do it. Don't tempt me.
Do not tempt us. All right, let's see. We have Subhuman is here. I'm at home doing inventory on my comics, seeing what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. I'm jealous because I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not doing, my comics are all organized, but I've recently been organizing all of my trading cards, and that is exhausting. So good on you, Subhuman. Here's a question I want to pose to sort of you, Andrew, and you guys in the chat, of course, but I've never sold comics off, right? Like when I go through my collections, I never look at something like, oh, I can get rid of that. I can, part with that. Where would you go about getting rid of those? You just take them to like an LCS or something? Do you go eBay?
You could go to an LCS. You're going to get it's no different than selling your games to GameStop.
I was
right?
just going to say, you're going
to
get GameStop prices, yeah.
Because, especially if it's stuff that doesn't have much value to begin with, right? It's not like a key issue or anything like that. It's not a issue that received kind of a short print run.
It's Dazzler number 2.
It's Dazzler number 2 or something like that. And so you could drop them off there, and you're gonna get a menial amount of store credit maybe that you could put towards newer. You may give them a stack like this, and you may walk away with being able to get like 2 books with what you get if you're lucky. But if your main goal is to just like offload stuff and, have less stuff taking up space, then, I mean, if it's something you don't even want at that point, it's like, well, how much is it actually worth to you if you just don't want it? Right.
Right.
So and the thing is, these shops understand that. That's why they're not giving you very much for it. Right. Because they're also going to try and flip that and sell it for like $1 or $2 and make some profit. And honestly, LCSs need to do so. So that's how that functions.
Have you ever done it?
I have only once, I think. I got rid of some rid of some singles and some trades at an LCS that I frequented back in California. That was ran by my buddy.
Oh, you actually got rid of trades.
I feel like those some trades that I didn't really want anymore.
I was just more surprised about the trades or not surprised, but it's like, oh yeah, trades probably retain better resale value than singles because they're collecting the entire arc or whatever, and they're in a nicer format.
I think I wound up getting like somewhere between 40 and 50% of their value. And
It's
and the
not
guy
bad.
was the guy was a friend, and it was a recently opened shop. And so part of it was like, I'm not gonna read these again. And the
Right.
other part was like, I wanted to like give him some inventory as well, right?
Help
Because
him out. Yeah.
he didn't have
Oh
a heck of a
yeah,
lot
huh?
yet.
I didn't even think
So,
about that. Yeah.
because then he could turn around and then sell it for, 80% of the cover price or 90% of the cover price, something
Hopefully,
like that,
yeah.
right? So
No,
that's kind of the idea there.
I mean, I'm of that same
Hey,
mindset.
Mary.
Mary's here. Mary's here. We got to keep going down the thing, and I will keep going as soon as I. Damn it! What was I gonna say about this? Who even knows anymore? Mary is here. Mary.
We never know.
Mary. I know. We literally never know. She's at work. She's just lurking. What is going on, girl? Always a pleasure to have you. Let's see. Hey, we have Timon. What is going on, buddy? Pleasure to see you over here. I know I saw you earlier on 01 yesterday, and I'll probably see you tomorrow over on Good Mav Ugly, but it's awesome to have you here. Yeah, look at that. Eight people in the chat. We're coming up.
8 people.
We all got to start somewhere. Look at that. 10 people in the chat. It's happening.
We're coming up in the world. Moving
see.
on up.
To a deluxe LCS in the sky.
Yeah,
Subhuman says, most of the time I would just give them away at no cost to my LCS. Yeah, that makes sense to
totally
me.
do that too.
Oh, yeah. I feel like if I did, I feel like I would probably do that. I don't have a lot of books I think I would get rid of, per se. Everything is like a special cover or like an event.
I'm usually
or
pretty
something like
selective
that.
with the books that I buy.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
I
usually,
mean-
and that's how I am with most things, like whether it's cards, whether it's figures, whether it's comics. I buy it because I want it, and I'm expecting to keep it, not to like flip it or whatever.
I hate the mentality of like, I'm buying this as an investment. Maybe we got burned in a good way from the whole Superman fiasco back in the 90s, where it was like, oh yeah, Death of Superman is gonna put your like 7,000 grandchildren through post-grad, all of
Not
them.
if they print 18 million copies of it. It's not.
But if it's in the poly bag, it's still worth $1 more, Andrew. You can still get at least $1. I just checked it out the other day.
If there is a 10 gem mint Death of Superman, then that would be worth money. But it would have to be slabbed and probably signed. So slabbed and signed, that's worth money. Otherwise, I don't care if you got it, bagged and boarded day one and never opened it, like never opened the cover.
Right.
It's not worth anything.
Because it needs to be slabbed. I meant to ask you this the other night when we were just chatting and hanging out. How do you get a 10? Like, what even is the requirement to get a slab 10 from either CGC or whomever? Like, does it have to come off of the printer right into a like sealed case?
No,
or into a
not
slab?
necessarily. So it really is all about just the level of quality that CGC receives it at. And when you start getting into the 9s, especially like after a 9 point, I think it's like after 9.2, the level of scrutiny just increases dramatically.
Makes sense.
Each point you're going up. And so like the difference between a 9.9 and a 10 to your layman, you can't tell a difference.
Yeah, of course.
We're talking the level of scrutiny that what the hell are they called? The people that like look at gems and things like that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. There is a word for it, but yeah.
I know there's an actual technical term for it, but I don't freaking remember.
And we apologize if any of you are in the chat right now. We just don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, so like they're looking for the smallest possible imperfections and things like, or inclusions as they call them or whatever, right? So they're doing the same thing at CGC or whoever else, because there are a few grading companies out there. CGC is kind of the most well-known and well-established one, but there are others, and they have more or less the same exact standards. So you get a 10 from one, it's going to be basically the same as a 10 from the other, but like it has to basically, for all intents and purposes, be flawless. It's like the same thing as like when you open a pack of cards, right? And then you you can CGC the cards, right, as well.
You could,
You can get those graded, and they look for, is there, because sometimes brand new cards straight out of the pack will still have edging, right, and
Of
stuff
course,
like
just
that.
from
So
transport.
yeah, just from
So-
transport, or even like a little scuffing on the back or the front from the other
Just
cards
print.
rubbing off
Yeah.
on them, right?
Yeah, just normal business handling sort of things. One, Chuck says gemologist, so thank you, Chuck. We now have the.
Is it really that simple?
I'm going to say it is, because this is how it always happens with us. We always
All right,
think it's
listen.
something super complicated.
I
and then
don't
it's
claim
not.
to be educated or nothing.
And then, so Subhuman actually brings up, this is why I wanted to bring it up, because, so Subhuman says, I have a 9.8 slabbed Alpha Core #1 signed by Chuck. Looking at the Blood Roost stuff last week when we were signing off, I saw that obviously you can grab, Blood Roosts that are slabbed, but the ones you guys had up, and again, this is not a criticism of you guys, this is just observation. They were like 9.8, 9.7, and I'm like, but they're coming directly from like the Ripa warehouse. What are they finding on it that it's not a 10? So it's probably just like shipping or like small little dings on the like side edges from shipping.
It's the most minute, unnoticeable by the naked eye for most people that aren't like turning it over and looking at it as closely as possible, right? Under just the right lighting. And that's how you get that, because our warehouse team is very, very meticulous with how they handle the books that they're shipping.
Oh yeah. They ship fantastically. They're
very
careful.
careful.
They're always well handled.
They're always wearing gloves when they're handling the books, like they so you're not getting fingerprints or anything like that on them. And then even more so, extra careful with the ones that, like, whether it's Eric, whether it's Chuck, whether it's the Saskas, whoever's signing the books, like they're then even more so careful with those. It's almost like, don't drop the baby. Right.
Where like, what do you have, like the Saskas and Eric go into like a room where it's on a table and it's like, don't use your hand to like stabilize it on the book. Just use your like free floating hand to be very gentle. That's sort of how I would imagine. That's crazy. Yeah. So I was just curious I've been curious about that all week. I had no idea what qualified for 9.8, 9.9. So interesting. This is why you guys come here. Not only are we intellectually honest, but we have an industry member here to tell us all the things I don't know and all the things I just assume about everything. Let's see. Jonas says I have to check a text. So while I pull that up, Chuck says polybags, blasphemy. They are. I'm going to admit something. I think polybags there's something of a display quality to them, Andrew. I don't know if you feel that way. Like when I look at my Wolverine Revenges, that red band bag around it sells the idea of what they're doing there. It looks like a different book. So I like those, but I am also of the opinion with you, Chuck, that it's like, okay, but what if I want to read this? Like, what if I we actually just talked about this morning, Andrew, where I was like, oh yeah, my Pakistani comic book shop doesn't have Wolverine's Revenge yet. And you were like, it'll come up in like 9 years. And I was like, I'm not opening that poly bag. I refuse to do it. So I still have not seen what is in the Red Blade or the Red Band issues of Wolverine. So I'm right there with you, Chuck.
Yeah, the only polybagged books that I've ever purchased, to my recollection, are the Wolverine Red Band ones. Right. And then back when I was a kid and had a subscription to the Archie Sonic comic, those would come in the mail in polybags. Yeah. And unfortunately, shout out to USPS. A lot of times, the books would come in damaged.
I remember being a kid and I got a bunch of Sonic comics when I was like 6 or 7 or something, and in the back, comic books used to have the like fill this out like an order form, right? Like, oh yeah, check off the boxes, put in an envelope with the mail or with the money order or the check, send it off, it comes back. And I remember my family, like I was pretty poor growing up, so I always would like look at the back of these issues and fantasize. And one time my mom was like, we have enough, like you can get like 5 of them or something. So I lost my mind. I got my 5, I put it in, sent it away. They came back, like they just got shoved in the mailbox. Like there was no handling of them. So they were all crumpled.
Mangled.
Yeah. And as an adult now, I have better, like, if that happened to me now, I would be pissed and I would obviously contact customer service, but I would ultimately go like, this is dumb and I just won't use them again. As a kid, like with no emotional regulation at that age, I lost my, like, I was devastated. That's when that was my first black pill. I'm like, this is nobody cares for the little man anymore. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up real quick. Jonas has been asking me to look at my text messages. This is his second one telling me to look. And that is because, Andrew, quote, I'm cheating the system to send you the first foil variant super chat. Jonas has sent us $5. We have our very first super chat. So in honor of Jonas's super chat, thank you. And also I'll use this as his highlighted comment. I have a sealed can of albacore. Well, that's a little I'm actually genuinely hungry, so that's unfair.
I deliberately ate an extra large lunch because I knew that I had so much work to get done that I wasn't going to be able to eat dinner before stream.
At least, I mean, you got to take precautions. You definitely have to.
Thank you so much for that, Jonas.
Yeah, Jonas,
we'll have to set up like a stream. Wait, what the hell is it called? Stream? Is it Stream Labs donation link or something like that? Is that what it's called? I don't even remember.
Possibly. There are 9,000 things we have to add to this layout still that I'm still working on. So
we're professional YouTubers.
Just add them on. Hey, at least this time we didn't boomer or anything. Love you guys. Stay hungry. Well, yeah. Do you know what industries we're in? We're in the comic book and journalism industries. Of course, we're gonna stay hungry.
At least you have a job in journalism.
That is
hard-hitting journalism, even.
The hardest-hitting journalism. The #1 news source. Chuck says, I have a 9.8 alpha core and a 9.9 Yaira. Dang. Like, there you go. The 9.9. That I can't even imagine what they're finding when they go, oh, yep, there you go. Got to take off a point. Like,
it has to be, like, the smallest spec.
It's bonkers. Like, I remember Things from Another World when they sent me, I don't remember which issue it was, but there's an issue of Ultimate X-Men, the new one, that it's majorly like got a white border and then like character portraits in the middle. But the one they sent me, one of the staples like rubbed off onto the front cover, so it was all white, but you could see this little black smudge, right? And yeah, to the layperson, no, like I was like, I went, oh, dang. And like my mom and my sister were around. They're like, what's wrong? And I told them, and they're like, what are you even talking about? And I'm like, it's there. I can't stand it. And thankfully, Tifa, they're probably the best comic book shop. I reached out to them. And they were like, oh, yeah, we'll just send you a new one. Don't even worry about it. Just here you go. Free X-Men. Like for yours, it's not even like someone sneezed in the cover for that Yaira. It's like it just had contact with air. Right? Like that's what it feels like to me. Like they took it out of its special bio lab and exposed it to like air for the first time, and now it's contaminated or something. Who knows? Or it like starts the degradation process, if you will. Yeah.
But honestly, 9.9s are that's so freaking high.
That 9.8s really
are too. Like most often, if you have a company who is doing their due diligence and, whatever shipping company they're using isn't screwing them over as well, getting anything between a 9 and a 9.4 is pretty common.
Right.
Once you get to 9.6, then you're like, oh, okay, these are really, really good. Once you get above 9.6, that's when it's like, what the hell? This is like, just super, super pristine.
Right. And I mean, like, I'm genuinely impressed by that 9.9 because, again, every time I see companies advertising, like, we're selling a slabbed one right out the gate. And not just Rippaverse. Like, Midtown Comics was doing it with their Absolute variants by Dan Panosian. Like, they were doing it for all of those. I only ever see, part of me, like, 9.8 as the max. So I'm kind of, like, bewildered. After learning what Andrew told me, and then you come in and you go, I have a 9.9, I'm like Antiques Roadshow impressed. Like,
Antiques Roadshow. Okay.
I love that show. I love that show.
My dad loves that show.
I love it because when I was younger, my grandma would watch it all the time. So it was just on. So like, I just picked it up. But I am so excited for like 20 years from now. because that show is still going. Like they're still doing new episodes and everything. So eventually we're gonna get into the future, and it'll be like, yes, what do you have for us today? Well, my grandfather left me this Sonic controller holder, and
That's
yes, you
amazing.
can see the original prints down here. Like I cannot wait for that. Like it's gonna be all just really. I guarantee you, at some point they're gonna be like, "What have you brought for us today?" I'd be like, "Well, this was a popcorn bucket they released for Dune. It was kind of a meme because it looks like a butthole, and like it will get appraised." I cannot. I'm so excited.
Crap. That was the most. It was something. That was a moment when I saw that. I was like, they made that choice.
It was a little. I was a little disappointed from it because when I first saw the Dune one, I was like, okay, choice. Maybe they're leaning into it, maybe not, but we're all gonna have a laugh out of it. And then I felt like everybody just tried to force it for their buckets, right? Like because it was
Right.
that one, and then they did the Wolverine
Deadpool one.
Yeah, the Deadpool and Wolverine ones where it's like their mouths open, and I'm like, you guys are trying too hard. You guys
Yeah.
are trying way too hard.
You're getting a little too gimmicky and wild there.
Yes,
I'm pretty
exactly,
pleased with
gimmicky.
my Godzilla X Kong New Empire popcorn bucket, which it looks like an old ancient ruin the way that they do it, and it's also it has a divider so you can actually split it into two,
Like candy and popcorn or whatever.
and yeah, and it's like one side is Godzilla themed, the other side is Kong themed.
That's a pretty
it's
cool.
pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool one.
It's
I-
the first special edition popcorn bucket I've ever purchased.
Yeah, I was actually about to say, like, I've never purchased a special popcorn bucket. I don't think were they even there. I feel like that's got to be like newish, right? Like in the
It's
last like
fair-
3 years,
For them to, okay, so
or at
they've
least
been
at this
doing,
level.
like,
At least at this level.
yeah, I was about to say, like, at that level, it's a pretty recent thing. But like, they've been doing special ones for a long time, in that it's just like a tin popcorn bucket or a more durable cardboard, whatever,
Right.
that has, you know, the theme of whatever the film is on
And
there.
and
But
those
for-
are the ones I'm more used to because those
Yeah.
are easier because it's just changing the graphic. You're not
Yeah.
molding something and then shipping all that. So yeah, I've never purchased any of them. Make a good one. Maybe I will. I did see, I guess for some Evangelion movie they did in Japan, they did a popcorn bucket that was Unit 1's head, the purple one.
Oh,
And, like,
shoot.
you could like open it, and if you opened its mouth, like that's where the popcorn was or whatever. It has like a butter or salt dispenser, but it's like the LCL plug. So like you put your salt in it, you plug it in, shake it up, and then salted popcorn or whatever.
Freaking
It's pretty great.
Japanese, man. They just gotta outdo us on everything, don't they?
Fine, go for it. I'm not even mad because we don't even try hard enough. You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
Like if we did, what did we just get? We just got like that. Is it the Ghostbusters one that was like the giant Ecto one that didn't even like move and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? You guys didn't even try.
Low effort.
Lowest efforts. Let's see. Chuck says I need to send off my Black Widow no restraints playbooks to get. No restraint play books to get graded. Is that the one from the Sauce?
That's the what was it, 5-issue Black Widow run
From the
that
Sauce,
they wrote?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's actually a pretty good one. It's not
I
bad.
mean, if you like seeing pedophiles getting burned to death by Natasha, yeah.
which is like, I feel like
that's
this was.
pretty cathartic.
I feel like this, honestly, and this isn't even like fanboying or juicing them up because you work with them, but I feel like that was like the last time before Sliver where Nat felt like a character.
It was.
Because she was actually doing things. It's like, yeah, she was being bloody or whatever, but that's what she would do. She lives in that world, like with the Punisher and stuff. And yeah, so then everything else with her was just sort of like, I'm on the Avengers, but I don't use my gun anymore. So I kind of just sit here and punch whatever random bad guy. And then
They had
she got
nerfed
Sliver.
her prior to that mini, and then they
Yes, they
nerfed her
had.
afterwards. So like there was that one moment where Nat was cool again, and then she wasn't cool again until very recently when she got the Sliver symbiote.
And now Sliver's gone.
Right?
Marvel, what are you doing? You have no Black Widow projects coming up. Nobody
Yeah.
cares anymore. Like, let the chain stay. Let it hang out. That was actually a good move on your guys' part. And
It was.
you
It was a
threw
great
all away.
book.
It was such a good book. Still to this day, like I'll still crack it open and be like, look at this art, look at this writing. Like Erica Schultz did it again. You did it, girl.
She killed it.
Impressed us.
She killed it.
Let's see. Subhuman says, Mav, I know you saw what I put in Andrew's Discord. Yeah, I replied to you earlier. I don't know if you saw it, Andrew, but Subhuman got the first, I think it's the IDW or Image, whoever did the first revival of the G.I. Joe comics, like after Marvel had the license, he got the compendium. And that thing is like,
oh, cool.
you can like, it's like 2 phone books. You can kill a man. It is giant.
Nice. I think I remember seeing him post that photo.
Chuck says, whoa, this is such a long... We've never had a comment that like covered up our faces this much. Speaking of Godzilla, I'm going to see Godzilla -1 with the wife tomorrow. I've already seen it, but she hasn't. She's indulging me because she can get popcorn. Where are you seeing it? Did they re-release it?
They did. They re-released it. It has a limited additional run in theaters as a celebratory thing because this month marked Godzilla's 70th anniversary.
Right.
So I am quite fond of Godzilla -1. I encourage people who have not yet seen it, or even if you already have, go see it in theaters.
One. What's in that collection? That thing is, it's one movie.
It is. So it's got a makings of book here that I can't read 'cause it's in, Japanese. It's got this, which is the... I hope nothing falls out of here. So special features. It's got the 4K and the Blu-ray. It's also got the black and white version in here.
So it's like 4 movies.
Yeah, so it's Godzilla -1 and Godzilla minus color. So yeah, it's got a cool art on the box and all that. So
that one looks great.
I had to get it the second that they announced that it was going to be available for the States. I was like, yep, getting that, because I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but I'm a Goji fan. So.
It was available for the States, but everything just came out in Japanese. Like they just kept everything in the home text.
They left the materials, in Japanese, which I find a little funny. And
I'm not even going to be mad because at least we got it. You know what?
Yeah.
Like we got Godzilla -1 with a good release. Like it's not,
and it was
like...
several months later too, because originally, that was only available in Japan in Japanese, so no subtitles or anything. Like no English subtitles.
Right.
And so like for months there was a huge uptick in like piracy on that movie specifically because it was literally unavailable. People online in the States were like,
could not get
make it available so we can buy it, right? We will give you our money.
At least America got it better than what is it? Malaysia. I have a couple friends who live in Malaysia and they just didn't get it. Like, if you look at the release map, every country around them has, like, it's blue or whatever for they're getting it. They're gray. Yeah. No reason. This is, like, one of the biggest, like, Godzilla tokusatsu markets over there. And still to this day haven't gotten, like, a proper release for it. It's crazy.
That sucks, man.
This also sucks. Chuck says, damn you, Andrew. I just missed the second pre-order this week. I was really busy over the weekend. We all hit those spots. That happens to everybody all the time. I was just telling Andrew I missed out on the pre-order window for the second printing of Absolute Batman, which is doing a foil treatment for that cover, you guys, or that splash page you guys might remember of him jumping down. I don't know if you guys know him. There's a company called Media Blasters. They do a lot of Japanese cinema releases. They just did a 3 Blu-ray collection of these really rare out-of-print Kamen Rider films, and I missed that one. And I've been I've been stewing about it all week. Like I was,
I know that feeling, and I hate it.
It's the worst feeling, because then you start doing like I could have done. It's just like with anything. You just like, I could have done things so much differently. This is how I could have pulled it off. And then you just make yourself sad. Because it's not even that complicated. I really just had to go and push a button. I just got lazy. All right. With that Godzilla talk, Andrew, how about we talk about some comics? You up for talking about some comics? What do you want to start with?
This is a comic book podcast, so we may as well.
What do you want to start with this week? What do you want to start with this week?
Let's start with a book that kind of annoyed us both.
All right, I am totally up for that. Let us jump. Let me pull down this comment.
We were just talking about this earlier.
Literally just talking about this. What is the one that I want? Oh no, I want this one. Yay! X-Men #7 time. The book that keeps on giving, but keeps on not giving keeps on disappointing. This
Right.
So if you guys have watched the previous episodes of Foil Variant, you know that Andrew and I have. So this is the core X-Men book we're talking about, the one by Jed MacKay and theoretically Ryan Stegman, and we'll get into that. But for the, Andrew and I have been reading this book since it launched with the whole Fall of Krakoa stuff, and our takeaways have really been this book is boring. It's not necessarily bad. Like, the writing isn't bad. It's just nothing happens. It retreads a lot of the stuff we're tired of, which is, mutants, everybody hates mutants, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very, very generic X-Men story. Sort of like if they were to make a new animated cartoon, or if they were to make a board game or something, this feels like it would be the storyline to that. Because it's just familiar enough to, like, mainstream normie fans, right? But also just different enough that it's not technically the stuff you've seen before. But in threading that line, we just sort of end up with nothing. Like literally nothing.
This book it's suffering from a problem where there are some good ideas and good interactions, but the overall plot just feels like it's going nowhere. So, like, there have been good interactions between some characters. What was it? It was either issue 2 or 3, I want to say, where Scott was in that diner talking with the one sheriff or whatever.
2, I think it's 2. I can see the cover.
Yeah.
The cover is him in the diner.
Yeah, and like Scott kind of had his like putting it on the table moment in that interaction. I was like, oh snap! Like, okay, Summers, you're like, growing some stones.
Leadership. Right. Okay, look at this. You're not the wishy-washy guy that we all have presumed over these last like 2 decades.
Exactly, but then the overall plot just goes nowhere.
And I like that you bring up that diner scene and the reaction we had to Scott there, because I think I would say there's a similar moment in this book or in this issue, and I would say probably both of us, it's our favorite moment of the entire book, or the favorite setting of this issue right now, because and I'm sure you know what it is, but the readers don't. So let's get into it so we don't have to keep them waiting. So what this issue is a flashback issue to the event called the Iron Knight. Now, if you guys have been reading the X-Men, which I don't really expect any of you to have, the Iron Knight is this event they've been referencing for the last 7 issues that was this big disaster that happened right at the fall of Krakoa, and it set everybody against mutants, and it just was this big, horrible, horrible thing. So this issue deals with what the Iron Knight actually is, right? Like, we had our teasers, now we finally get into it. And it's so weak. So I don't even know how to like start to get there. It's so bad.
I don't even know how you call it an Iron Knight either, because it's more like an Iron 10 minutes.
10 minutes, dude. So how do we approach it? It's so stupid. So we open in our flashback. Basically, Scott is in Alaska where the X-Men eventually set up base, and he's sort of doing the Wolverine thing, like, I'm sort of like bummed, I'm depressed, I'm just hanging out by myself drinking.
This is immediately following the fall of Krakoa.
Yeah, like immediately after. So he's sort of just licking his wounds, and in doing so, Magneto comes and approaches him, and they sort of have this is what I was referencing here. This dynamic between
is the highlight of this
Scott and Magneto is insanely good. And there is something, because when you brought up like, oh look, like Scott's growing stones in the diner and stuff, I remember when I read that book, I was like, oh, look at him going a little more Magneto-y with it over Professor Xavier. And then this happens, and it's sort of like, I don't know, it's just really interesting that he's like, that's Xavier's student. Yeah, exactly.
All of a sudden, those dots connect. And what was really cool here, and I will give credit to Jed MacKay, in that this scene really does feel like you're sensing that tension between these two people who, for so much of their lives, they have been at each other's throats, right? They have been mortal enemies more times than they can count.
Yeah.
But there is all this history, and some level of respect built up there. And
I liked that little bit.
The way
yeah.
that it kind of, culminates in this interaction is really cool, because the way that they play off each other is very interesting. Like, Magneto is simultaneously treating Scott as a man and as an adult and as somebody who's in a position of leadership, and he's also treating him as though he's a child in certain respects. Like, in the moments,
he is still that student from like their first fight at Xavier's. Yeah.
And he does that in the moments where Scott is still kind of acting like that child, like that student. And it's like Magneto's trying to remind him, like, hey, you're growing past that, or you should have long grown past that. Like, step up, right?
Right.
And it was a great interaction. Easily the highlight of the book, on top of the art, which, as much as I love Ryan Stegman, I think this guy,
his name is, we had it earlier, Netho Diaz. Yeah, Netho Diaz.
He suits this book so much better, I think.
Let's talk about that here, because I agree with you. So if you guys are looking at this and you didn't realize that there was a different artist, you might have been like me and thought, oh, I'm looking at Ryan Stegman art. This does very much have a lot of the hallmarks of Ryan Stegman's art. It's very good. Like, I have to give Marvel credit here. That's what I have to give Marvel credit for, because a lot of times we get filler artists in books that just don't even come close. Or if they
it feels
try
like
to
you're
imitate,
reading a completely different book.
Exactly. Or if they try to imitate, it feels like they're imitating, and you just get off put by it. This Diaz, this was a good choice, a good transition, and there is something about his artwork that I think does suit this book a lot better than Stegman. And I don't know if I have the exact words yet. Maybe it'll come to us. Maybe it'll come to us next week. But at least to me, my big art takeaway for this was in previous issues when we saw Scott in this his new costume here, like the one on the left. Let's see. I think there's another shot of it. Oh wow, that's really the only shot of his new costume in this issue. Okay, whatever. Oh, there it is. It's on the cover. When Scott wears this costume, when Stegman draws him in such a way that he still looks like a teenager. That was one of my big problems for the first 3 or 4 issues, is that I'm looking at a Scott who's supposed to be hardened and, lived and fought through the fall of Krakoa. Remember, at the fall of Krakoa, the dude got his eyes sewn shut by the government so he couldn't open them in optic blast. But then
gnarly.
Yeah, super gnarly, super changes your life, and then he's kind of just acting like a 16, 17-year-old now, and that was a really weird thing for me. But the way Diaz draws him, he actually looks like an adult man again. So just complete props to Diaz for making me flip my opinion of this costume, of this look. That's all I have to say is kudos.
Yeah, no, he did a fantastic job. I was super pleased with the art through the whole thing. I think there was one panel of Magneto, and it's a close up on his face during the
fight,
Iron Knight, that is super weird to me.
Is it that one with his eyeballs?
I think it's before that.
We can find it. It's not that hard. There's only 3 shots.
That one, the bottom right corner,
where he's yelling.
I don't know. The way that his eye is, I think it was a deliberate artistic choice to really make it seem like he's hyper exerting himself, right? And it looks like his eye's about to pop out of the socket. It just didn't quite land right for me. But otherwise, this guy just did a bang up job.
I see what you're saying. To me, that face, I can see what he's going for, and I get the emotion, but this feels more like he's angry, violent angry, emotional, as opposed to I'm struggling, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely there, right? When I saw that, I had to read those 2 pages to make sure I didn't miss was there a mind control thing I missed? Oh no, it's just a weird choice by the artist.
Yeah, weird artistic choice. I like that shot of Magneto and Scott flying. He's bringing Scott along on the car.
I do. When I saw that, I was like, dude, that's so cool. I wish we could
pretty
do
metal.
That. This comparison popped up in my head while you were talking about that Magneto face, but I think maybe I'm off base here, but when I look at Magneto here, especially like the Magneto in his helmet and the Magneto with his helmet off, I get a little bit of a Greg Capullo feeling.
Yeah.
A very
I see
small one. You see it? Yeah. So
yeah, I do see it.
Now that I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, now this is probably why I liked it so much. Like there's you can see the influence there. He plays with shadows heavily. That's what it is.
Yeah, that might be it, honestly.
So, aside from that was all the good stuff, guys. There you go. That's all the positives you're getting out of X-Men 7. So
all the good stuff involves Magneto and Scott.
as per usual. But and I got to admit, I did like this sort of meta line here from Scott, or this meta joke where it's like Magneto's yelling at him for hanging out drinking, and he's like, "This is Logan behavior, Scott." And Scott's like, "Well, everyone likes him." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I like that line. It was funny."
I chuckled. I was like, "Nah, I see what you did there."
Right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Everyone likes
loves
Logan more than you.
But then that joke leads to a really poignant line that at least I never thought about. You have that Magneto tells Scott, like, yes, Logan can do this because he's immortal. He has the time to wallow.
He has all the time in the world.
Yeah, like you don't have it. You need to get like right back on your horse. I was like, that's interesting. I don't know. I didn't really think about it that way. So the big event of this issue, the Iron Knight. We finally get into what happened. So if you guys
just another Sentinel.
It's just another Sentinel, and it's just another
but it's a
Sentinel
wild
attack.
Sentinel.
It's not even that
a wild Sentinel has appeared. That's what we should have subtitled this stream.
We really should. I should have made some sort of graphic of like a Safari Zone throwing a ball at a Sentinel. Like, this is ridiculous. So if you guys remember, the premise of this X series is that this X-Men team has gone to Merle, Alaska, where there was a Sentinel factory, and they're setting up there to sort of just regroup, restart, get some privacy, rebuild relations, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, the main sort of core thing was that there was a Sentinel factory here. And for the longest time, I think in like current day, the Sentinel is still standing, but it's like covered in frost and snow, and it's this big lumbering, sort of like if anybody saw Eternals and the way that, which I know is like 3 people total, and none of them are watching this show right now.
Maybe
but
3.5 if you're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was probably pregnant. She probably got dragged along by her husband. So at the end of that movie, they have Tiamat partially come out of the surface of the MCU world, and it's like this giant celestial, and his hand is up, and then it freezes because they like stop the summoning thing. It's like that. It's like that, but a Sentinel. So not as big, but that sort of, looming presence, danger, yada, yada. So like we were saying at the top of this segment, all throughout this series, they've been talking about the Iron Knight was so dangerous. Iron Knight changed everything for us. This is our this is our new catalyst moment. And yeah, what it really turns out is that it was just something called a Wild Sentinel, which apparently is like it's like a Mega Man villain, honestly. Like it's just a core. It kind of
feels like that. Yeah,
it's like a core, and then it like assembles junk around it to like protect itself and make its Sentinel form. So yeah, like if you shot off like pieces of it, you would chip away, and then
and it's supposedly more adaptable than a standard Sentinel. And so it makes it more dangerous. But they tell us that, but they don't show us that.
They tell us that. That's what I was going to say.
Because what happens is Magneto and Scott still take it out in one hit.
They take it out in like one hit, but they also don't. There's no attention given to like the people, right? Yeah. Or like, so as you guys can see, like the whole big danger here is that the Sentinel awakens. It's going for that town in Alaska. Scott and Magneto leap into action saying, we're going to stop it. They get there. Everybody's freaking out. And then, like Andrew says, Magneto gores it once with a car. Then he splits it open. And then Scott takes it out with a singular blast of his, or a singular optic blast.
Yeah.
This
and
entire
to be clear, that's
thing,
actually a
3
really
pages.
Cool combo between the two of them.
No, it's great.
And it
it's
would
fantastic.
absolutely work if this was just another Sentinel, because that's how it reads.
Remember X-Men 97, the first episode where they go and they fight like Trask's Sentinels or whatever? That would have been perfect for that scene. Like that's where this would have gone. But because you're going, this is our big bad, this is the Iron Knight guy, and then you just sort of really beat him quite easily.
Yeah.
It really takes the air out of it. And then
And they
so
don't do it in such a way to where it feels like, because writers will do this sometimes, and when it's done well, it's cool because you can use moments like this as a measuring stick to show growth of how much stronger other characters have become, right?
Right.
Because obviously early on when Sentinels were first introduced, they were this huge mega threat, right? And you were constantly worried about whether or not this character that you love is going to freaking die. But
Right.
then eventually they reach a point where it's like, Sentinels aren't nearly as big of a deal as they used to be because we figured them out. Right. And so that's a moment to look at the character's growth. And it's like, yeah, we've done this. We've been here before. We don't want to get complacent or anything, but we can handle business when it comes to
Right.
Sentinels. However, here you're telling us that this is the big bad of this first arc, essentially. Right.
Right.
And as far as
you're
know,
Thanos, you're dark side. Obviously not the same level, but that's the position in the
correct,
story
but
they're playing. Yeah.
You've been telling us that there was this event that happened several months ago or whatever called the Iron Knight. And when you go ahead and when you give something a name like that, you're telling your audience that this was a big deal, right?
Right.
I was expecting it to be this long, drawn out battle that involved all the X-Men that were in the vicinity or whatever, or maybe like it started with some of them, then more of them showed up because they needed their aid and all of this. And, a bunch of people either got killed or almost got killed that were part of the town. And then that's why the town is super sus and not happy with the X-Men team. They really don't want them there, right? And all of these things that I was anticipating and I was reading into it. And instead, it's just like, oh, so a wild sentinel has appeared. And okay, you tell me that it's more dangerous because it can adapt more quickly and it can adapt further beyond.
But then it doesn't adapt. It gets handled by the standard power sets of Magneto and Scott.
You don't give us that. You don't show us what you just told us, right? You told us that it's more dangerous, but you don't give us any visual of that. You just have them handle business against another Sentinel.
Like very fast. Again, this entire battle, 1, 2,
it's over in a few pages.
3-page battle. And you brought up a point here, and this is sort of my big sticking point with all of this, is you were talking about, when you call something the Iron Knight or you give it a name, you expect it to be big and bombastic and people die. That last point is where I take issue with this, is that nobody appears to get injured. Nobody appears to die. Obviously, in the shot, we can see like cars are on fire and stuff. But when the X-Men first land here, everybody's just running, and they say like get somewhere safe. That's all they've got. And then where there's one more part where I thought there was one more thing that what am I forgetting here? This is what it is. So obviously, after the Sentinel fight or during the Sentinel fight, Magneto's powers start freaking out. And it leads Scott to knock him out, and that's why he's in the chair. And that's sort of Magneto's plot. But they have this conversation here, like on this page, where they're talking about, this is what happened to me. Do you remember? Like that. They're seemingly implying that the tragedy here was that. So this page is actually a kind of a cool page. It reveals that, or at least allegedly, if you used the Krakoa resurrection system, the more you used it, the more likely your powers are to degenerate, to go wild, to go off, and that's why.
Or your body in general, as well as what it looks like.
That's what. Yeah, that too. So that's why it's like, and it's a.
And that's why Magneto is now in the
chair. Yeah. So, but in this conversation, there's no mention of thank God we got everybody to safety. People still died. None of that. It seems so inconsequential. It really feels like just another Tuesday.
For you, it was the Iron Knight. For me, it was a Tuesday.
Literally what I just said when you started that up. That's amazing. That's exactly, exactly. It's just a Tuesday for the X-Men here. So this is really, you hit it on the head right before we got into the issue. This is telling, not showing, and just awful way to do it all the way down. It's just so, this doesn't feel threatening. It doesn't feel like this is a threat. It doesn't feel like anybody died, anything happened. The worst thing is that, okay, I can see if, look, we're a bunch of humans. Magneto's powers are going weird. Maybe he did the Sentinel. Maybe he'll hurt us. Now here's a new layer of fear. I could see that, but no, they explicitly state that only Scott saw Magneto's powers go haywire.
Yeah.
So what is the consequence? Why was this so bad? There's nothing here. It's just, I don't even know what to say about it. It's
Yeah,
nothing.
it feels like the only consequences that we're getting here is learning about the consequences of Krakoan era stuff with the resurrection, the glitching of the powers, and that's fine. I think that's actually an interesting story beat
I do
and an
too.
interesting thing for them to play off of and use moving forward. That's cool. I'm here for that. However, the immediate thing that just happened has no consequences.
But like I almost feel like you're classifying it as like the thing that immediately happened is sort of underselling it, because it's not just like the most recent event. It's like you were saying, like this is what they've been setting everything up.
We've been talking about this for 6 issues.
Like this is the big thing. This is like everybody's been talking about it, and what it turned out to be a pretty easy Sentinel battle. Just we have
easy
seen
mode.
Way worse.
2 X-Men, right?
2 X-Men.
Just 2 X-Men. They handled business.
It also kind of bums me out. This is sort of slightly unrelated, but I mean, it's Cyclops. When you were talking about how these sort of moments, like right here, when they're having big fights and stuff, or their powers go hard, it's to show their growth or whatever. And like, I get that. And I agree with that, because my favorite example of this is back in Astonishing X-Men, way back in like 2003 and 4 by Joss Whedon, surprisingly, when Scott and Emma are the like headmasters of the school during that era, and I forget what it is, but like a Sentinel attack is launched on the Xavier school, and so it starts like it's like 3 Sentinels land on the lawn. They start attacking. Nobody knows why, because they have like a treaty with the government, and you probably know what page this is. It's where like they're all getting handled, and Wolverine's like, Scott, what do we do? And he's like, I'm tired of this Sentinel. Get it off my lawn. And he just whips off his glasses. The next page is just a pure red page. And then the next thing you see is Wolverine, and he's like, damn, Summers, remind me not to piss you off. And it zooms out, and the entire like 4 miles in front of him is leveled by the optic blast, including the Sentinels. And I'm like, that's my guy. But then, so like, why am I supposed to be afraid that one Sentinel is here for him? Yeah. I don't know. It's the blood hunt problem all over again. We keep running into the blood hunt problem, which is that the threat that you're trying to tell us is a threat is not anything.
Yeah, like you honestly, you can't use Sentinels anymore as your big scary bat.
You can't.
You really can't.
Because they spent so much time in like the 90s and honestly like the 2000s turning the Sentinels into just fodder. They're basically stormtroopers now, right? So it's like they show up, they're used to signify things are going bad for the X-Men. They never beat the X-Men. We all know the Sentinels never beat the X-Men, but they're used to show them as a threat. But it's just, we know they're going to win. We know they're going to win. We know that it's not that strong against them anymore.
Maybe it was not very effective.
Against the Wild Sentinel.
Yeah, so like, using Sentinels as your villain, as your enemy, as your threat, is about as narratively effective when it comes to X-Men stories at this point as the rest of humanity thinks mutants are bad. Okay? Like those are on I file those under the same thing, regurgitated and played out.
The same move on already, right?
Yeah, like we've seen it. Like this is not just a rerun. This is a rerun of a rerun of a rerun. Like I don't think of something else, please.
It's a repackage of a repackage of a repackage of a repackage. I think I will give Marvel this during the Fall of Krakoa era. They did manage, at least in my opinion, I felt like the Sentinels were a threat again, because that was when they were doing the Stark Sentinels, and because what's his name bought out Stark Tech and then started using it to build Sentinels, and to me that was a good twist because, and follow me here. I don't know if I have the words to explain it correctly, but it's sort of like you have the people who develop the Sentinel tech, and we know that they're bad guys, so they'll develop all of their technology to specifically hunt mutants. But then you have Tony Stark, who is the tech genius. He's also creating technology on his end that maybe the Sentinels could use to be more effective, but he's holding on to that because he's a hero. He's doing it for heroic things. But now that you put all of that technology, all the things he developed to be a hero, into the hands of somebody who wants to exterminate mutants, it was a good opportunity to give them a slight upgrade, like power upgrade, which is what they did. And so for the first time in a while, they felt like a threat. But now you come back to this, and it's just not again. You hit it on the head. Two X-Men. X-Men. One of whom is like currently like plastered out of his mind.
Yeah, it's true. Both of these just before this, they had been drinking.
Both of them. It's not even just one of them.
These dudes are buzzing, and they're like, I'm a freaking sick of this shit.
Well, at least Marvel taught us the right lesson, and they did not drink and drive. They drank and flew.
This is true.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about X-Men. It's so. Why am I reading this one still, Andrew? Why are we reading this one still?
We're reading it in the hopes that when we get to the crossover, like the intra franchise crossover, starting
Gale.
next issue with Gale's uncannily good, uncanny X-Men, that it's gonna be interesting. We'll see.
I honestly think that is what it is. It's and I feel like there's also, at least on my end, there's like a Pavlovian element to it where it's like, yeah, it's the X-Men book. Like that's the main X-Men book. You pick up the main X-Men book. Well, of course you do, right? Like
yeah, my worry, I don't know. It's frustrating right now that the only X-Men book that I'm genuinely looking forward to each month is Gale's. Because Exceptional is exceptionally mid
Gale's
right now.
and Wolverine's Revenge, but that one doesn't really count because
So of the three, let me put this, of the three core books for this From the Ashes, relaunch. So of the three core books, I'm really only genuinely enthusiastic about Uncanny.
Same.
Exceptional would have been the one that I'd been most looking forward to, but it's been like just bleh. So far,
I have a new level of like excitement, interest towards Exceptional because it sucks. It's bad. It's easily one of the worst books you and I are reading. But I get this weird Schadenfreude every week, going like, "How bad's it going to be now? Like, how disappointed? Like, how bad is it going to be for me? And then how disappointed is Andrew going to be in this issue?"
Right. So it's this weird opposite ends of the spectrum thing because we're constantly looking forward to Uncanny and been like, is the shoe gonna drop? Like, is it gonna happen finally?
And
right?
It hasn't.
And
the shoe just keeps
hasn't.
going higher. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Exceptional, and it's like, so when is this gonna actually pick up and be good?
I know that the previews for that, the next issue, have them like start like it starts off with Kitty brawling with Emma, but I also feel like they did the standard Marvel thing where it's like the first 5 pages. So I'm like, oh no, this is probably it. It's probably just those 2 pages.
They probably just showed us. This is the equivalent of the trailer that shows all of the good moments of the movie. Yeah. And so you've seen the movie now, or you've seen everything worth seeing in that movie. I hope I really want that book. So if Exceptional picks up and becomes good, I don't even need it to be as good as Uncanny. Just good to the point where I'm not like annoyed.
Yeah.
I would like something. I think there is a world in which we have a genuinely interesting conflict between the way that Scott's trying to handle things, the way Rogue is trying to handle things, and the way that Emma and Kitty are trying to each handle things. And so we get some butting of the heads. And that is a classic X-Men thing that is right on the verge of played out to where if it's done well, I'm here for it. If it's not done well, it's like, okay, I've seen this. Right?
Right. I think there's an opportunity here. And I didn't really think about this until you were talking right now, because you're like, yeah, the butting of the heads. It's what everybody does. And then I realized there's 3 teams. Normally, when we get these like X split ups, there's 2 teams, right? Like there's maybe 1 or 2, and then maybe like an X force that everybody gets people in trouble about. I think I'm right there with you where it is on the verge of being extremely played out. What they could have done here is they could have done like Scott has a different way, Emma has a different way, Rogue has a different way, Forge has a different way because that's happening over in X Force, and then I don't know. I'll just throw it in there. I know the book's not that good, but say like Havoc has a way, right? So you have 5 different sort of tribes and have them all butt heads, like a 5-way sort of, or more than 5-way, however many people you want to put, but a full ideological battle instead of just like a Xavier, Magneto, who's right. I think that's the way to evolve it.
And then you could kind of solve for that by them handling whatever they're doing with Charles right now, Charles then is able to reunite them.
That would be this right here. If they did that, Andrew,
Charles is the one person all of them universally respect.
right? And like that's what I was just about to say is like if they do build to that, or if they were building to that, imagine how much more impactful this bit is right here. This Cyclops Magneto conversation, because of that point where they, mutants. Everybody has their opinions on mutants, but even the X-Men's enemies like respect Xavier and see his point, if you will. So having Magneto sort of have this weird mentor, partner, father relationship with Scott, and then having Xavier be like that uniting factor, that could be something really, really cool. I don't think it's going to happen.
I honestly, I think we right there just put more thought into it than likely what the X-Men editorial room that handles like what the overarching X-Men line plot and theme is going to be. I think we probably did more work than they did.
We thought about it for more than 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure. Easy.
Pretty much. So, I mean, I don't know, because I've been enjoying other books in the X line that's from the Ashes
right
stuff very, very strongly. Uncanny. I've been enjoying Phoenix.
Yes.
Obviously the Wolverine stuff.
I feel like
it's
been a while since we got a Phoenix. It's probably next week, huh?
I think it is next week, actually.
Yeah, because I feel like it's been a while. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm gonna have to take a look and see what covers are gonna be available.
Right?
I haven't done that yet. But yeah, that's. I feel like right now. So on the Marvel end, the Spider-Man editorial room is in a horrible place outside of anything that's like Venom War related, right? Or like Ultimate. But the X-Men line is in a position to where it could be the like in-house franchise again for the first time in a really long time if they just get some elevation going on Exceptional and on the main X-Men book. If they can elevate both of those to be just like good.
Right.
Because right now they're at like Exceptional, I would put it like a 3 out of 10. And then I'd put X-Men at like a 5.
That's so funny. I honestly feel like your Emma. We didn't even name her name, but I feel like your Emma fanboy is coming out because like a 3, that's high, man. Like I go at 2.
It's only because it's probably only because she's in it, and I really love her redesign because I think that
her design is cool. We haven't even seen it though proper.
No, we haven't. Just on covers.
On covers, remember? Because in the last 2 issues, she's been like on her couch, like mind controlling everybody or whatever. Like she's at home. She's not battle ready. So we haven't even seen it yet. It's awful. The best you have so far is that awesome Joel Jones cover that she did for that first issue.
Oh man, that Joel Jones cover is.
It's so good, man. Like that's we need
wish
more of
that was a spot foil.
I still, when I see it in my head, I assume it's a spot foil every time.
I had to think about it. I paused there for a second
time.
because I was like, wait, I'm about to say I wish it was a foil. And then I'm like, wait, is it a foil?
It's because, you know what it is? It's that when you pre-ordered that and when I was like, you got to get on it, it's exceptional. It was when Tifa didn't have the previews up yet. So there was like Joel Jones and then foil. And then we probably are just not connecting the dots properly because we're dumb.
That's probably it, to be honest. That's probably something along those lines. But yeah, to wrap that up, because we've had enough X talk, I think, at this point. I think that X-Men is in a position to really take over Marvel if they just elevate the quality of those other 2 books in the core 3. Because then all of a sudden you've got a triune power right here.
Yeah.
Right? You've got the Triforce. You could do
knowledge,
something
power,
really
wisdom.
cool. Yeah, and
even that could work out.
Yeah, and honestly, they can do it. They just need to whoever is editing Exceptional needs to either get out or get their crap together because they're not telling the writer like, hey, like your book kind of sucks right now. I need you to step it up and make this an X-Men book, not, I don't know, Degrassi, the next generation.
Yeah, seriously.
Because right now, that's what it is. I do not care about anything that's happening outside of the 4
No.
panels that I get of Emma in each issue so far.
No, I think that is completely, yeah, that's the perfect wrap up, is that exceptional is bad. And it is, I like your idea, or your optimism rather, that as if exceptional changed, the entire X line would explode. My only reservation for that is Jed MacKay is still here. I feel like as long as Jed MacKay is in charge of the main X book, we're going to just get the most stories, right? Like check this out. So remember I guess it was actually about a month ago, right? When we went over the last Avengers issue, with the Hyperion story, that I was like, remember, and I was like, oh, this was so cool, I'm so excited. And then MacKay just sort of nullifies it at the end. Yeah, he MacKay'd it at the end. That's like, so I was just out of curiosity, I picked up there was an Avengers issue this week, and I picked it up to flip through it. It's a solo story about Black Panther going into like this miniature, sort of like a Kandor type thing that the Avengers have. It's not that closely related. It's just the best analogy I have. Like it's a shrunken city that they gotta like take care of, whatever. But he goes in, and it's this sort of just like one shot T'Challa story. It was so boring. It was just, there was nothing to it. It didn't really. That sums up most of his writing. That's what I mean. And so like, as long as he's in charge of the core like the front of the bowling pin triangle, like pin number 1 X-Men book, I feel like everybody has to write around him.
Sure, and that's fair. The way that I'm looking at it is, the rising tide lifts all boats type of thing, but also like, hey, fix your weakest link. Right now, the weakest link of those 3 is exceptional. Fix that, and then once the main X-Men book, Jed MacKay, is the weakest link, then it's like, okay, now fix that.
And you know what? Like, I feel like it doesn't have to. There's like, we were complimenting things in this book, in this issue, like tonight. Like, there's parts here you have.
There's some really good character stuff in here.
Right.
Just nothing that's really advancing the overarching plot. Why are we here? I'm loving the stuff with Scott and Eric here, but what is the point? Where does this fit in the overarching plot that you've been building up for now 7 issues? I still don't know why we're here.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, this almost feels like the opening. These 7 issues feel like if you're watching like a sequel movie and they do like a quick recap in the beginning of like the events that happened before, that's what these 7 issues feel like. But the problem is,
that's a really long time
7 issues.
On that.
Yeah, that's 7 issues we're here.
You do that for 1 issue, maybe.
Like, because I was about to bring up, like, the one thing I really complimented when we started the series was, I really want to see what Ilyana's doing, because she's doing that weird chess match against somebody for some reason. It's been mentioned 3 times, 3 total times in 7 issues. Like, this is insane.
Still
we don't even have that many team members on this X team.
You know, we still don't know anything regarding.
What's that?
Remember the. Remember that time Marvel thought it was a good idea to put pages behind QR codes?
Oh my God, I'm so.
We still don't know anything regarding whatever people were hiding in the shadows on that page.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Andrew's talking. For those who like forgot, like I did, exactly what he's talking about in the first issue of X-Men.
It was issue 1.
I couldn't remember if it was X-Men or if it was Uncanny though.
Yeah, it was X-Men.
Yeah, in X-Men, Marvel was doing that dumb thing with all these From the Ashes books, where when you got to the last page, you could scan a QR code and it would take you to a page on the Marvel website with the exclusive page, and it was just really dumb. Not a lot more to say about it, except it was really dumb. But in X-Men #1, they reveal the big bads, if you will, for this era of the X-Men. And it's like a council of like 4 or 5 people who are all hiding in the shadows. We've got no development on that. You're right. Like, not even from...
That was literally the only page we have seen of those characters. And
way
they were
to
all
go,
silhouettes.
Marvel. Yeah. I guess for me, you are right with I see what you're saying with the a rising tide lifts all boats. I will reserve my judgment on how the X line can survive with or without Jed MacKay.
Mhm.
That was weird. Once we get into the raid on Grey Malkin, right?
Yeah.
Because like that will be seeing who, like that'll see like how does he play with Gale? Does Gale have to take a backseat to Jed's idea? That sort of stuff. So I'll wait till then. But you're completely fair on that point.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
I want to be optimistic.
Mostly because of how good Uncanny's been.
It's so bonkers good, guys. Like, I don't even know what to say except like go get the trades, go read it. It's so damn good. Go watch last week's episode where we went over Uncanny 4 like panel by panel because it's just that
Pretty much.
damn
We
good.
spent a long time on Uncanny because it's, and we can probably expect to do that most weeks that book is out because it's just that damn good.
I mean, that's why I thought you made a smart decision last week when I was like, what do we start with? What do we end with? You're like, let's save Uncanny for last. I'm like, that's probably a smart move.
Yeah, we finished out the show with the best book of the week.
All right. So that is what we've got going on in the X camp. It is question mark sailing. We have no idea what could happen. Things could work out. Things could not. No idea. Impress us, Jed. Impress us.
Yeah, please. You don't actually have to work that hard at this point.
You really don't.
The bar has been set fairly low for you.
Speaking of low bars, how about we jump into a little bit of Ebon War? You ready to talk some Ebon War?
Let's do some
that Marvel
Ebon
bed?
War. Let's do some Ebon War.
So, I would like to present everybody with the concluding issue to the funniest miniseries of all time. Maybe that's appropriate.
It's kind of ironic. It's funny only if you're a Spider-Man fan because you're picking, and if you're like aware and cognizant of all the stuff that's going on in Spider-Man editorial, and especially with regards to like the main Spider-Man book, Amazing Spider-Man, and all the stupid crap surrounding Paul and all that nonsense. Because Nick Lowe's a retard. This miniseries,
You're too nice.
There are other words, but I don't want to say that on this channel. It's not my channel.
Marvel. Yes, it is. It is your channel.
Oh yeah, I guess it is. Well, he's a gamer word. Okay, we'll put it that way. But this miniseries is hysterical because if you're a Spider-Man fan and aware of all those things I just mentioned, you are really, really hyper aware of all the jabs and all of the I don't give an F about what your mandate is that is happening throughout this entire miniseries.
So, if you guys don't remember from the past few episodes, this Venom War Spider-Man, it's the solo Spider-Man tie-in to Ebon War going on, and the main reason Andrew and I have been gushing about this book, I mean, it would be surprising, right? Knowing us, and it's a Greg Land book, you would think that neither of us would give it our attention at all. We would just go, nope, no thank
Ordinarily,
you.
that would be a pass.
That would be an immediate pass for me. Like,
Greg Land on interiors, like you're gonna have a hard enough time selling me on a freaking cover.
On a cover,
let alone
yeah.
Interiors. Stop giving the man work.
I will admit the only reason I picked up issue 1, despite it having Greg Land, was because of you and you going, because that came out in like week 3 or 4 of the event, like number 1.
Yeah.
So you were like, up to that point, you were like, dude, I haven't been all in on an event in forever. But I'm all in for Venom War. So I was like, all right, if Andrew's doing it, all right, Greg Land, you're gonna get a couple bucks out of me. And you know what? This has been one.
I haven't regretted it.
I have not. That's exactly that. That's what I wanted to say. I didn't know what I wanted to say. That I have not regretted it. This has been one of the funnest reads of a long time. Like I read this book and I just giggle. I just giggle the entire time. So if you guys don't remember, we'll get into it now. The premise of this miniseries is essentially that, Spider-Man had the Venom symbiote on him for a little while. He goes out to fight the zombietes that are overtaking New York City. In the process, he gets some assistance from Mary Jane in her jackpot identity, and they end up going up against the Arachneid, which, if you guys saw Venom 3, The Last Dance, against my recommendations, it's basically that big monster from that movie. So the base plot is very, I don't want to say like generic in a bad way, but it's very
simple.
It's very simple. That's the best way to put it. Yeah,
it's paint by numbers plot.
You got a hero who teams up with somebody. The team up person gets in trouble. Hero has to save him. yada yada. Like you said, very simple. So up to this issue, what we have seen is that Peter and MJ were taking on the Arachneid, and MJ found herself absorbed by the Arachneid, and so Spider-Man is going out to save her and free her from all that. Now, we get into it. It's, you know, the Greg Land art really is really hard to deal with. Like, it is insanely. I can't even look at it without just going like, ugh.
It's like he took a 3D model and just rotates it differently each panel.
It's not. He doesn't even rotate it differently. Like a 3D model implies he can go like in 360. He just does like he like rotates it on a flat plane. Like that's what he does with his faces. So yeah, this what am I even trying to say here? Let me restart. So Spider-Man leaps into action. He goes to save Mary Jane, takes on the Arachneid, you know, goes inside, fights him, fights the Internals, has more inside guilt trip with Venom, eventually frees Mary Jane from the Arachneid with her help, and blows it apart, and saves the day. Everybody's good, and then he swings off to go finish all the Venom War stuff, basically. Go help Eddie, go help Dylan, yada yada yada.
Well, presumably, I hope, see him in issue 5, which is
in
the
issue
finale
5
for Venom War.
Which is also, I do want to note that I feel like this crossover has had really, really good continuity. Like everything I can place in a timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like smudging it. Like if you read like a Final Crisis thing, you'll be like, oh, here's the Final Crisis Justice League issue.
Oh, boy.
Well, then here's Final Crisis Flash. And it's like, I have no idea.
You have to go online and basically find reading orders.
Right, exactly.
Reading orders
exactly. But here, everything flows normal. Like it makes sense. Like we see in Venom War 4, we have the dialogue of Spider-Man being like, I need to get out of here. I need to go save Mary Jane. And then
which
he leaves.
immediately leads into this issue.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like it's really good about that. So I've been a big fan of that. But so yeah, guys, plot very, very simple. But the reason, as Andrew was getting into, we love this is because if you know, yeah, the how long has it been? Like 2 decades of One More Day at this point, right? Almost 15 years, I think it's been. And the constant, just like Marvel will not cater to people who like Mary Jane. They are adamant about keeping her and Spider-Man apart for just no reason, even though everybody knows and loves them. And Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, who are the writers behind this series, as we've mentioned before, they do not care. They did not get the memos from Marvel, or if they did, they just crumpled it up and threw it away. Because this miniseries has been pure MJ Peter, like
pining for each other, practically.
Yeah, like bait, pretty, like it all is like if you saw these were your 2 friends, you would just be like, why are you 2 not like hooking up right? Like go, like what are you 2 doing? Like this is so
get together
dumb.
already, like
so,
get it over with.
So yeah, exactly. So this issue has some of those amazing moments, and so the first is when they go inside here into the symbiote, and MJ is lost. They have this sort of weird flashback thing, or like what do you call it? Like they set it up, this mental symbiote chamber inside of the symbiote, whatever.
And what I liked about this part here was that, because if you just kept making it one-sided, that would be an issue. But in here, you can tell by the dialogue, not so much by Greg Land's crappy art, but you can tell because I've seen that face in a million Greg Land images.
Oh,
right?
yeah, 1000%.
He's reusing the same model there. But you can tell by the dialogue here from MJ that she's genuinely concerned for Peter's safety here.
Yes. Well, like
she was like, why did you come here? Like you're gonna get killed.
Well, there's that, and then there's she also expresses like, I'm so afraid. Like she's breaking down. The facade is leaving her because she knows like, I trust Peter. I don't know who else to turn to. I know Peter can help me. Like just that inherent, this is my guy sort of feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get this incredible moment, like Andrew said, that really communicates it in the dialogue, not the 7,000 reused faces that we see right here. Like this is what's awesome here. This little dialogue he gives MJ where he says, "You and me, we didn't grow," or he's talking about like power. You and me, we didn't grow up with it. The rush of being able to have whatever you want, to save the city, save the future, save the girl. it eats away at you, kills you from the inside, like Venom. And then MJ goes like, I've seen you do it for years, take it all on you, but you don't have to be alone. Like, that's what she says. She says, but power doesn't have to mean standing alone. It never has, not if you ask to share it with the people who love you. And then they embrace, and then they blow out like the symbiote or the arachnia. This is literally like an anime thing, Andrew.
It really
the power
is.
of love. Like, just
and I didn't
boom.
even think about this initially, but it just like us going through these couple of pages here brought it to my mind. I would have been completely okay if in that moment or right after that moment where like MJ's telling Peter, you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
And then they break out and she's now in a freaking spinneret costume. And we're just like, okay, so we're gonna do this together. Fine, let's do it freaking together. Right. And then we're the team. This has been such a hang up for us where you're constantly leaving. And I respect you for what you're doing and you're being responsible with the power that you've been gifted with. But I can't just sit by the sidelines and be left behind. Okay, so if you're going to do that, do it right.
Be Spinneret. Don't make her own original superhero because it just doesn't make any sense.
Tied to Peter.
Also, her costume is so bad.
There are things that I want to like about it.
I
and
know.
Then everything else is just like, why did you make that choice? Like don't make, it's like you tried to make her look like a sexy casino girl, but then somehow managed to make her look more like a slot machine.
Yeah, that's actually like the best way to put it. Because the thing I like the obvious attempt to theme her after clearly like a Vegas like
a roulette
girl, right?
thing. Yeah.
I get that. I like that. But then whatever they do, the rest when they superheroify it, it goes bad.
Yeah, bad choice. Bad choices all around. But like that's what I'm getting at. Like just tie it to Peter. Spinneret, I'd be totally down with,
And you could have even had it in this issue, in this moment. Like she's wrapped up in symbiote. Mm-hmm. There's something there. There's something with
and the arachnid symbiote was white anyway, right?
Arachnid symbiote was white, and it also clearly showed the ability to like, and I think this might be a standard symbiote ability, or if not, it at least is in the live action ones, and that might be where I'm confusing it. But in the last issue, we saw that the symbiote can like or the arachnid can like communicate through time. Or like dimensions. Remember the Peter thing where he became the King in Black and like with the sword? So like in my head, you can have this thing where they go into the arachnid, they have their little talk and they come together, and then she pops out as Spinneret, and the way you explain it is maybe make it a symbiote costume, because who cares if everybody's got a damn symbiote? Just give everybody. I don't care at this point.
If you can make Natasha having a symbiote make sense and be cool, you can make somebody who is directly tied to Peter, who has been directly tied to the symbiotes for so long. You can make that work and make sense. I mean, all you have to do is be like, hey, we're pulling this vision from another time, another potential. This is a potential future.
That's what I was doing. Boom. That's what I was
Bob's
getting at. Is that all she has to do in there? Let their feelings go. Somehow, some way, one of the symbiotes from another universe. Maybe it's like bonded. I don't know. It just the symbiote from another universe.
Make it
transmits the memory to like MJ, and she just gets it, and so she subconsciously puts on the Spinneret costume when they pop out. Something like that, right? Like I can
her
totally
current
see
outfit,
that.
the Jackpot costume is already the same color palette, just about. You just have to slightly brighten the red. She's already got some of the white there.
You could
just
even
transform that.
Use her jackpot powers for it. You could have her hit a roulette of some kind, and it does something.
There you go. Have
right?
the tech transform into that.
Boom, and it's like, wow. My true form is Spinneret, because I do love you, Peter, and we are supposed to be together. Let's go. Let's get into this.
And honestly, Spinneret, you're already using, like, you've already got roulette and spinning jackpot type of thing. The theming is already there.
Holy shit! That's good. That's really good.
You're welcome.
Marvel, hire this man. Well, subcontract him. I know he's not leaving the Rippaverse, but damn, that's so good.
I'm not
really
going
like
anywhere. But yeah, you pay me to fix your crap over there. You bet your sweet bippy I will. So we'll make you some money.
Oh, we will make you billions of dollars. Just give me and Andrew an Amazing Spider-Man and Mary Jane series. Done. That thing will go for 90 issues and like 7 annuals. and
Yeah.
it'll be great. Trust us. But so, aside from that power of love moment, we have that power of love moment, and then Colin and Lansing just quadruple down in the closeout to this issue.
That panel 5. She
Panel
is
5.
looking at him the way MJ looks at Peter.
Like,
when
that
they're in
is
love.
That is like, I don't want to say like it's infatuation in a good way, not like the
It's
fleeting
longing.
infatuation.
It's
That's what it is. Thank
it's a
you.
deep-
Yes,
a deep longing.
that's
loving.
exactly what it is.
There's-
Help me out
yeah.
so much tonight.
I try. I try to earn my keep.
But then we also get, so this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, we are going to stop at each page on the way out of this issue because every page has something from Kelly and Lansing with Peter and MJ. So
Yep.
like, we have this right here. They land. Anyway, it wasn't me that saved the day. It was you. Pretty incredible work, MJ. And she does that look to me
Yep,
is the one
she does
that's
the
like
little,
the like I'm a girl, I'm in love, I don't know what to do. Like, and then you even have this moment down at the bottom in panel, what is that, 5, where they're clearly being interrupted because whoever is on the other side of the line can't get their attention because they're just like staring at each other. Like, that's Peter is even setting up right there. He says, hey, about what I said in there, about saving the girl, about all that.
They're about to have that moment. They're about to have the discussion. Let's address the stuff we just said and did when we were in that kind of space out of time inside the Arachnio.
Well, funny you use that phrasing because do you remember what happened or what interrupted them the last time they went into like a subliminal space that existed outside of time?
Yeah, I do.
Because it happened. The same thing happens here because, guys, the person on the other end of this call, it's Paul. Oh boy,
Yay.
everybody loves Paul.
Shoot me in the freaking face. He looks completely different than he has before. Like, all of a sudden, his hairline is completely different. His haircut is completely different.
He looks like
he has
Ben.
my haircut when I actually get a haircut.
Yeah,
I need one actually.
He when I flipped this, just like at first glance, I thought that was Ben Reilly, like because he's got that blonde swoop back hair, like that looks like Ben, and I was like, what? And then I was
He's
like,
kind of got the blonde, almost comb
it's
over.
Paul. Right? Yeah. But so like my point, like I love bringing up this specific issue or this image of Paul because kudos to Greg Land. Even this isn't like Andrew said. Paul doesn't look like this. We've had enough appearances of Paul that we know what he looks like, right? He's got the dark hair that's like buzzed down and he has a pretty thick beard. I don't know who this guy is, and it just makes me laugh that like Lansing and Kelly didn't care. Land didn't care. They were just like, what do we know about him? He has glasses.
It's Paul. Nobody likes Paul. Who cares about Paul?
It's Paul. Here, we're going. Blah. And
yeah, it's like Land went into his like subfolders for generic male, little bit of facial hair. I'll pick option C. Fine, good enough. This is the one we're tracing.
In light of that, the way you just described him going through his folders, I now am of the opinion that like if anybody is allowed to use AI art, it's Greg Land. He's basically like he can just train an AI engine on his own art and get like sit down pose 7 please, and it's like, which character would you like? Wolverine, Jean Grey.
Exactly.
But then so we get this really dumb moment. Yes, the Paul thing is hilarious, but then the rest of the page is, MJ checking in, being like, oh, yeah, I'm here. Hey, we're in this together. I'm not going anywhere. And but then Peter hears it, and he sort of like resigns himself, and he's like, yeah, okay, you're with Paul. And he swings off, but you get this like, again, another moment of longing. This isn't, like, okay, I'm watching my buddy go or whatever. She's like longing after him as he swings away. And she
that's
knows
coming through even in Greg Land art.
Even in Greg Land art. Like, again, actual miracle.
Like, you have to know that Kelly was very deliberately writing into the script longing, like in bold, and probably bumped it up to like 14 font.
That panel was the only one they like had Greg Land redo like 90 times because they're like, you need to get that emotion, not like dead-eyed just looking up. Like, I need longing, damn it.
Yeah.
But then we get Peter walks away from the whole battle, lets everybody clean up. He has this reflection moment about MJ. Like, What do I say? How do I approach this? So this is what Peter says to close it out. I get to know I made the right call, that I didn't lose myself in the space-time continuum, that I could have taken all that power for myself, but I chose the light, that I'm not pulling her into my war every day. I get to know that of all the damaged guys you saw a friend in Venom, I'm the responsible one. Like, this to me is the ending to Spider-Man 1 when he rejects, when Tobey Maguire says he can't be with MJ at, like, the funeral because of his responsibility, but he still knows, like, I didn't say no because I don't love her. Like, that's what this scene to me right here is. Like, he's like, I had to give her up again because I'm Spider-Man. And, like, yeah, then we get the end. And really, guys, like, that is really just the meat of this book, is that Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, they're as much of a Peter MJ fan as everybody. And
you can tell that, like, with
they
each
put it
issue,
here.
They were just trying to tell fans, yeah, we like Peter and MJ too.
Oh, no, this definitely feels like the like you're at a family event, right? And you go up to, like, all the food being prepared, and your mom goes, "You can't have any of that. It has to wait for the table." And then your uncle comes along. He's like, "Here, you can have a little bit. Like, don't tell your mom." That's what this feels like. Is like Nick Lowe's going, no Spider MJ, no, be quiet, get over here. We're doing 8 Deaths of Spider-Man now. And then Colin and Jackson are like, hey, you can have a little MJ as a treat. Don't tell Nick. Don't tell Nick. Just. But yeah, if you guys can stomach Greg Land art, this is a really good character book. The interactions for Peter and MJ are amazing. The like Andrew said, the plot is pretty baseline. It's pretty simple. But if you're a Peter MJ fan, this is an amazing book. Just hands down. You couple this with the rest of the Venom War event where he's talking to the symbiote and stuff, and you have amazing comics. The omnibus of this event is going to be really fun to, like, go through it once.
Wait. Because what I'll do is I'll for sure grab, I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up getting all of the individual, if they do, like, hardcovers for them, I'll grab all the individual hardcovers. Yeah. But then if they do a compilation, like an omnibus, that's the entirety of the event put together and in chronological order.
Right.
So in chronological order,
yeah.
I will grab that as well. Because if it's not in chronological order,
then you have the trades already.
Point.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm right. I'm 100% right there with you. That's sort of my same approach to it.
If editorial is intelligent and they go to their pre-press guys and like, okay, we're gonna piece this together in such a way that it's chronological. That I know, that's a long pass. But if they do that, then I will absolutely grab that hardcover as well.
Easy, yeah. And remember, T-Fog gives you like 75% off hardcover. It's insane. It's really weird. I don't understand it.
Yeah, because they're buying probably at close to cost.
Probably, yeah. That would make sense for them. They're that big. Yeah, so Venom or Spider-Man, really good. I just wanted to highlight this page really quick, Andrew, just like to you. I was really impressed because I got a dynamic feeling from this page, from a Greg Land, like, moment. I can tell Peter's doing, on both, like, panels. Yeah, he's doing, like, the you tuck or whatever. Like, you see divers do it all the time. And I was like, whoa, all right, Greg, you can have that one. I'll give you that one. That was pretty cool. So
credit where credit is due.
Credit where credit is due.
And then we go back to the generic faces that we've seen from Greg Land 8,000 times.
So many times. That's someday. Maybe we'll do it for foil variant. I'm gonna do like an hour-long compilation that's just like each face fading into each other from like his entire career.
It's gonna be the same 5 expressions for the last decade and a half.
It's gonna be a 9-hour or a 9-hour video. All right, so that's Venom or Spider-Man. Check it out, especially if you're an MJ fan. Please don't get mad at us for the fact that you have to deal with Greg Land. That's all we can really say.
Yeah, that is not our fault.
All right, so that's Venom or Spider-Man. Where do you want to hop next?
Do we want to stick with Marvel?
We might as well.
Okay.
Might as well.
Then I think at this point we may as well hit Venom War.
Then we might as well hit Iban War. All right, so we are at issue 4 of Iban War, and at the top, I don't know about you, Andrew. This is going to be surprising. I sort of was a little unimpressed by this issue. I felt a little like it's dragging on a bit. like I was very surprised when I got to the end of this issue and went, oh, there's another one. Like I know I knew that, but it felt very much like that's where the narrative was like we're ending here. At least that's how I felt about it.
It did for sure leave me wondering, like, okay, so what can they do next?
Yeah,
and not in a way of like, what's coming
like
next?
what's coming
it's
next?
Kind of like,
like
what do you do now?
What do we do? Yeah,
right.
So if you guys remember, Venom War
The
is
art
going
though
on.
is
The art will always be amazing. Like
God tier.
I go through the Venom War books just looking at the art. Like I do a full read on just looking at Ebon's art because the man knows. Like look at this shot of Bedlam taking a fist to the face. The motion, the lines behind him,
the impact.
Yeah, the impact. It's just everything Ebon does communicates like strength and movement and just like that. I feel that hit. I look at that punch and I'm like, oh, damn. So we are still in the midst of Venom War. If you guys remember from the end of last issue, Venom is currently split between Eddie Brock and Dylan. So this issue is it's a big fight issue. It is Bedlam, as you guys can see here, who, if you remember, is an alternate future version of Eddie that may or may not exist. It's complicated. It is stupid complicated. This symbiote stuff, guys, is so stupid complicated that Andrew's like, I have no idea what's going on here. And didn't even try to like recap. I was like, you just need to read it. Like you just need to read what's happening.
I just need to go back and I need to read like the
Venom.
last 2 runs.
Right, but I was like, it's so convoluted that if I try to tell you, you're gonna be even more lost than where you were before. But basically, Bedlam's here. They're fighting him. I really liked this transformation. I mean, we've talked about this before, especially with the Venom War Wolverine. I like the more monstrous takes on symbiotes. So seeing sort of a Krang face monster here was, a really interesting
That's exactly
thing.
who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Too. Funny.
Yeah, definitely Krang. I think it's the pink. I think it's all the pink working together. It makes me go immediately to Krang. But I like that idea of the like hostless symbiote, just sort of like wilding out and all that fun stuff. During the battle, we get Flash Thompson. He comes back.
Image.
I love this shot, dude.
So wicked cool.
It's so good. Just boom, 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 and then like this pose. It looks like because like that's a kung fu move, right? Like the double like fist punch. This looks like he just like blew did a Dragon Ball thing. Like he hit you, and he's like, now what? Like it's so cool. I love Agent Venom. I love Agent Anti-Venom. I just love Flash. He's the coolest.
I like that there's really good dialogue here with Venom as well, where he's talking about of all the people that he's bonded with.
Yes.
Flash Thompson taught him how to be good.
Yeah, where he says, Flash Thompson, more than any other, is the host who taught me how to be a hero, a soldier in the fight against darkness. Yeah. He died only to be reborn through the Anti-Venom, the healing force to our destructive one. I liked that little comparison. I was like, I didn't even think about that parallel. That's awesome. So with the arrival of Eddie, with the arrival of Flash, Peter leaves to go take care of MJ, as we just saw. And then we get the Zombiettes. They finally break into Madison Square Garden. They attack everybody who is in the arena. I will admit, Andrew, I felt really bad because where is it? Where's the panel where they get bit? It's right here. It's on the right. Yeah, like Crusher Creel. I felt genuinely bad. I'm like, oh no, not them. Like they've just been sort of hanging out the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, Zombiettes break in. They start going loose. Venom and Dylan and Eddie and everybody else start fighting against him. We flash over to future Eddie Brock, Meridius, who is finding himself on the losing end of the Venom War and is about to receive some level of help from Carnage. We don't know exactly what yet because that's probably what's coming in the next issue. But more fights I liked this art right here. So that shot right there of Flash, like, stopping Dylan.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell if he's, like, stretching or if it's just, like, really exaggerated to, like, get him. I don't know. Either way, it's just, like, there's something really cool about the way Ebon did that paneling. I can't put my words on it, but it's been sticking out of my head since I read the issue.
No, agreed.
Yeah, so then we just keep getting, more and more fights, the Zombiettes, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, we get the anti-venom symbiote, or whatever you want to call it, refuses back with Eddie Brock, because if you guys remember, that's where it actually came from when he was when he had cancer and he went through the treatments. It yada 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 became anti-venom. So now he is anti-venom. He basically can communicate with the Hive still, so he tells them all to like back off. He like anti-venom, like mental anti-venoms them, so they're like will to keep infecting just dies off really fast. Meridius accepts the health from Carnage, which starts turning all of the symbiotes into Carnages instead of Venoms, and it also starts turning Eddie into Carnage, the King in Black, all that fun stuff. And the issue ends with Eddie being gored through the chest by Dylan in the hopes of, you know, stopping the end of the world. Because if you guys don't remember, that's what this entire event is Dylan believes that if he or his dad become the King in Black, they're going to end the world. And so that's what he's trying to stop right here. And so, it's a pretty straightforward issue. Again, not a lot of surprises or exposition. We do get the return of Anti-Venom and Agent Anti-Venom, I suppose you could call him. But so like that's sort of where I was with this issue, is that it's good and it's solid. It just feels like, sort of like we were saying with the X-Men, you maybe could have cut like half of this and thrown it in with the actual climax of the story. Yeah. Like this, I like it all. Nothing here is bad per se. It just definitely feels like, oh, we still have more to go. Yeah. Not again, not
so
bad.
They're going to have to pull out all the stops for issue 5 for it to really feel like a proper finale. And not one that's like, okay, so you got half a finale and then, you know,
and now
the rest
go
was
read
all
these
filler.
Well, we get half a finale, and then you got to go read like 5 issues of like other number ones to get the rest of the conclusion, X-Men style.
So I hope that's not what we get, and I'm led to believe, at least with the quality so far of this event, that that's not what'll happen.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
You know, it's still this issue. I don't want to necessarily say was concerning, but it was like, oh, I'm like curious to see what happens next, but I'm not sure where you're going with it. I'm not sure what you're gonna do.
Right. No, it's the equivalent of like like when a movie says like it's over and then it has like a 40-minute extra like epilogue or whatever. Yeah. and like once so you go into the credits and you're like, oh, that was cool, and then when it comes up, you're not necessarily angry or like upset, but you're curious. You're wary. You're like, what are we doing here? What is this? Yeah. Is this something to be excited about or something to be upset about? And that's where I am too. So still easily one of the better events that any of these publishers have put out in recent years. The art, as always, is just fantastic. Like, just look at this shot of
that
Bedlam
movement
taken
there.
Down. Oh, we got to go to like the right.
Go to the double. Yeah, go to the double page version of that because Dylan is sweeping the leg. Sweep the leg.
And I didn't even realize that's what he was doing. Oh, that's awesome.
He's sweeping the leg, and Eddie is catching his face on the way down. Use that momentum to like strike him harder. Like that is a really great panel right there.
Yeah, no, I want that on like a trading card, on a poster. I want it on everything. You guys should just use that for Venom from now on. And there's I also got to give a shout out because we talked about it with Absolute Wonder Woman, but I like when we get to see in movement action like this, like Spider-Man's doing up in the top, where you see like the multiple stages of his movement. I really, really like that. And
it's a good way to showcase characters moving very quickly.
Yes, especially ones that bounce a lot, like a Daredevil or a Spider-Man. Because like with Flash, you can do it, but since Flash is mostly on the ground, you can get away with a lot of Speed Force lightning to pick up that slack.
Some lightning. Here's a blur streak. All right, we're in.
Right, exactly. And then put it to bed. But with Spider-Man, you need a little bit more continuity just to make it a little bit believable. But incredible issue, amazing artwork. If they ever did they should just release this like a textless version of Venom War. I would cry. I would weep.
Dude, give me a black and white, just Ebon's lines.
That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Bloodroot.
Like a Hush Unwrapped type one. Or Bloodroot, the black and white edition.
That's what I was, dude. If we got Venomore in black and white, you and I have been sharing all of his in process works for
and
like
then you
months.
just call it the King in black and white edition.
Marvel, what are you doing? I need that book right now. I need to be able to tell people the King in black and white is a thing. Like well, now that I said that, that's gonna be. Here's what happened. We're gonna monkey paw this shit. Right? You just said that. That's an awesome name. And Marvel's going to go, we should do King in black and white. Eddie is both a black Venom and a white Venom. Let's do something with that. Like, that's what they're going to do now. So now, next event, the King and Anti-Venom or whatever. When Al Ewing is gone. Because I trust Ewing to not do that.
Yeah. No, he's been really rock solid, everything that I've read of his so far when it comes to Venom.
I agree, and that is I think that's all I have to say on Venomore. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Beautiful looking book. I'm looking forward to seeing what they keep teasing that final issue. With
with the gold Venom.
I don't know what we're really getting there, but I hope they don't screw it up. We know it's not Eddie because they've already told us that we're getting
Eddie as Carnage.
Eddie as Carnage. So I don't know
Which,
how
like,
that's
that
gonna bear out.
That though, yes, it's a new plot line, but I'm also sort of like, really, like that's what we're doing. We're doing Eddie Carnage now. Like what are we doing? Just make a new symbiote at this point.
What annoys me particularly about that is we spent all this time now like trying to be like, well, no, Eddie's not actually a bad guy here. Like there's potential really bad versions of him, but like let's actually believe in the guy. Nope, we're just gonna have the Carnage symbiote leave Cassidy, and it's gonna be with Eddie now.
Oh no! I just had a predictive realization because I'm listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, all of your complaints are valid. I'm right there with you, and I can hear in your voice that you didn't expressly say it, but you're like, why are we doing Eddie as Carnage? And it's like, that's a different dynamic, right? Because Eddie is the hero and Carnage is the killer monster, serial killer symbiote. Here's my bet is that entire book is going to read exactly like the Venom movies, which will have Carnage doing a lot of like, let's kill him, Eddie. Let's stab him in the face. And Eddie having to go, no, we can't do that. We can't do that, Carnage. Come back in here.
So we're just going to do a more violent Lethal Protectors. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. It's gonna be bad. I'm not excited, honestly, for post Venomore Venom status. Like, I'm excited for Venom, like this gold Venom here, whatever they're gonna do with that. I like Eddie Carnage. I don't really care about that. I don't.
They're gonna
man.
have to really. That's a hard sell for me. Like that's
it's
a really
such
hard
sell. You have to do
because just the premise
really
alone,
unique.
I'm not interested.
Right, and that's what I was saying is like you need to have a really, really, really good hook to sell that premise to me, because right now that premise is just lazy. It feels like the laziest. If you were to say like, what's a bad comic book writing trope, I'd be like that. Give give Carnage to Eddie. Like that's perfectly like the worst thing.
Whatever it is they're doing right there, that's the bad trope.
The good news is, but before we hop off of Venomore, we are in the home stretch of Venomore. We've only got about one book left for each respective series. We got the last Spider-Man. There's Venom coming. Wolverine,
we'll be
Deadpool.
Venom or Loki.
Yep. Venom or Loki over in the Venom books. But good news, guys. We are now less than 2 weeks away from Venom or Jeff #1. So.
My name's Jeff.
The event will finally peak. It will finally deliver when my name is Jeff.
Peak. That will be peak Venomore.
I'm genuinely excited for it. I cannot wait.
Same. I really am looking forward to that one.
All right. Okay. Do you want to talk Ultimates? I know not a lot. There's only really one thing I really wanted to talk about with Ultimates. Is there anything you really, really wanted to hit on it? Because we still haven't gotten to our DC stuff.
There wasn't a heck of a lot, but if you want to bring up what your bring was on it, because I did read it, and we probably have a similar or same take on it.
So
you already said one thing that I agreed with, which is like nothing happened.
Nothing happens.
Unfortunate, because this has actually been a solid book so far.
Yeah, this issue, to your point. This is probably the most disappointing issue yet because nothing really happens. But I wanted to only bring it up for one particular reason. So this issue features the first full official fight of like the full Ultimates team, and they go to confront the Ultimate Hulk, who is like a Buddhist Zen monk. He's basically like Iron Fist.
Well,
And
right here, so they reveal that he's basically Iron Fist,
which
as well.
I was like, this is what I wanted to highlight, is that the fight unfolds pretty crazily, at least in my like opinion, right? Like I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, he's gonna Hulk out. Oh snap! They gave him the Iron Fist. Like he actually has like the Iron Fist, the atomic Iron Fist, if you will.
Yeah.
And then we get all of the immortal weapons, which like I'm excited about that because I don't know if you ever read it, but there was the Iron Fist series. Oh my God, who wrote it? Might have been Brubaker, the immortal Iron Fist back in like 2009, 2010, where they introduced. They basically did like a shonen anime or tournament arc in Kunlun, and all of those.
I did not read that, and just that knowledge alone makes this fight make so much more sense because it was actually incredibly distracting for me.
Because you're like, who is this?
Well, not just not knowing who the characters were, but what they kept doing was they kept freaking listing the move that they're using, and then I was like, wait, why is this? Because I love manga and I love shonen, but like, why is it here?
And now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense. It's still annoying in that like, when they're starting to measure it, when you're putting a number to it, right? When they're saying it's X number,
I know that's what
above like a specific nuke. I'm like, bro, if you did that, like that whole space is gone. I'm sorry.
15 Hiroshima's level, yeah.
Yeah, like everything is gone there. I'm sorry,
like everything is gone there. And then what also bothers me is that they, in very anime fashion, power scale it weird because he does that punch. And, it knocks She-Hulk way out of the stratosphere or whatever. Let's just, play with the cards we've been dealt. It knocks She-Hulk out into, like, the stratosphere. He does it again. He has, where does he does it? Or, there's this move right here. The like, lady goes to attack America, and she does the Big Bang Phoenix conflagration, 18 Hiroshima's level. And to me, it annoys me when you get to this point where you're just, I kind of like what you're saying, but, like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you're just throwing out these numbers of something that's already astronomical.
Right. And so I sit here and I go, what makes that more powerful? Why did you have to number it? If you just said Big Bang Phoenix conflagration, I would have been like, dang, powerful attack. Look at it go. Like, even just that panel, it sells it. Just the explosion taking out America, who is a multiversal teleporter. Like, it's all
now you're just KO-kenning it.
Right. Yes, exactly. That's a really good comparison. So, yeah, they're from that Immortal Iron Fist series. They're all different defenders of different kingdoms in Kunlun. So as somebody who knew that history, I was really interested. I like seeing the different takes on characters as long as they're good and like not mean-spirited or lazy or whatever. And I was like, immortal weapons. That's really cool. Good use of that, Marvel. So basically all I really wanted to highlight was the fact that like the Ultimates really get their shit handed to them, like really
they
hard.
Get pushed in like hard, and like, supposedly it's not obviously gonna stick.
Yeah,
but supposedly they killed Iron Lad. They killed Tony Stark.
Definitely not sticking. I mean, he's literally on the cover for the next issue, so and he's the main character. We all know this. We've read comic books, but yeah, like this is brutal. But the one I really wanted to highlight was this moment really made me like. This was a jaw dropper because you have
this was where it was like, oh, just definitely showcased that Bruce Banner is way more powerful than this She-Hulk.
And that showcasing honestly took me by surprise because I was like, okay, they're Hulks. Maybe Bruce will be stronger, but to be so much stronger that he can just pulp her hand, like that is bonkers to me. Like I saw that and I just
brutal.
Like I literally like out loud.
Yeah.
And then so like I really just wanted to highlight that punch scene because I'm just like, man, like I feel that. But I also wanted to note, or go ahead.
I was gonna say that like something that I called the second that one of the immortal weapons ate.
Jan. Yeah.
I was like, she's just gonna go big inside of him and make him explode. She's perfectly fine. And I turned the page and I'm like, there it is. I want a cookie. Like,
you know what? You do get that one, but I mean, yeah,
it looked cool when she did. I was like, I called it, but that's pretty metal still.
Oh yeah, no, seriously, especially for her. Like,
predictable as hell, but that was metal.
Yeah, no, it was very awesome, and I liked this setup to it where he like blocks the punch and he's like, like he feels something wrong, and then it goes like off the rails. But yeah, so that punch was super insane, and then this I just want to sort of like give like a hat tip to. Her hand is already growing back. Yeah. Like when they're back here. And I'm like, that's
the process of it.
That's a good detail. You guys remembered what it means to be like gamma powered and stuff. Yeah. This is good. This is good stuff. So
you understood the assignment there.
100%. So pretty, this will probably read better in the trade, like this issue, this part of the story, because you'll be able to go right to the next like event.
Yeah.
Overall, like Andrew and I said, it's sort of a nothing issue. Not that it's bad. It's just sort of nothing really happens. You could skip this one and basically still be on the plot for the Ultimates, at least at current. So yeah, still good. Maybe wait for the trade if you're not already actively reading it. I mean, I would recommend that for anybody who doesn't start with like issue 1. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about Ultimates. Pretty brutal, pretty nuts, just pretty nuts all around.
It was a pretty violent and brutal issue for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Iron Lad, the Fat Cobra, the hand. It's just here we go. It's not a fun world out here in the Ultimate Universe.
No, they're definitely not pulling their punches.
Pun intended.
Always intended.
Always intended. So that's basically all I have for Marvel this week. Do you have anything else for Marvel? Anything you wanna hit?
Nah, because I didn't read AVA yet, and
AVA,
still haven't read Black Suit and Blood, so those would have been my only other.
Oh, that's
books.
right. Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure we covered all of them. Yeah, X-Men, Venomore, Spidey, Ultimates. Yeah, let's jump on over to the other big 2 publisher.
We can only hope that this Iron Lad death means no more Iron Boy in the MCU. We can only hope, Timon. All right. What do you want to? I'm presuming we have about 3 books to talk about, or at least touch on with DC.
So I actually am not against talking about all 4 of these. I think one of them will be pretty quick. So I think it's more like 3 1/4.
All right.
I think Batgirl might warrant a quick hit, but
okay, let's hit that. I forgot that even came out and that it was on my stack, so I don't have it. But
okay.
So we can either I can pull it up. I have the file for us to look at if you still want to talk about it, or we can wait till next week.
You know what? I'm okay with waiting until next week. I'll just show off this beautiful art germ foil.
It's so pretty, dude. I can't start getting
Cassandra Cain.
I can't start getting art germ covers, man, because then that's just a whole new death spiral world of collecting.
Oh, dude, I'm about to go down the rabbit hole. I feel like I picked up this one, so now anytime I see one, as long as it's not a book written by Tom King or Mariko Tamaki,
there we go, or Mariko Tamaki,
then I'm probably gonna end up grabbing it, and especially if it's a foil variant as well. So
I mean, to be fair, you did get Spider Society. You did take that plunge because it had an art germ cover.
I did, and I should have just stuck with the one issue for the art germ cover and not wasted whatever it was, $4 on the second issue.
A new one came out this week, and I've not cared. Like, I totally forgot it was even out this week until right this moment when we were talking about it.
Probably, yeah, right this moment when you mentioned the book.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
All right, cool. We'll hold on to Batgirl. I'll definitely read it before next week's issue or issue episode, whatever you want to call it. What do we hit instead? The actual boogeyman around here, Chuck.
Yeah. All right, we got to talk. This might lead to a dangerous rabbit hole too. This might lead to, and I'm willing to admit it, but it might lead to a dangerous rabbit hole. Let's talk some JSA.
Let's talk some JSA. All right. So, if you guys weren't aware, the JSA is back. We have a new series coming out of All In, written by Jeff Lemire, with art by, I never know how to say this guy's name, Diego Olortegui. I really hope I got that right, man. I'm trying here. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying. So we've mentioned this before, but all the All In books, or at least all of DC's books since Dawn of DC, they all open not just like the story we're looking at here cold opens, but we sort of cold open the entire book.
Yeah, we're
you will,
cold
right?
opening the entire status quo of this,
Right, that's
this line.
there we go. Yeah, all these books like Green Lantern did it, Flash does it, JSA does it. Damn it, what did you say? It cold opens the status quo. Like that.
Yeah.
That's perfect for it. And so, admittedly, we jump in here not really knowing what's going on yet, but the first of all, this was an awesome page, just of Obsidian.
That's a
using
great
its powers.
page. Yeah,
I was like, this is awesome. This is cool. But we essentially have a younger JSA, which is essentially Infinity Inc. They have assembled to hold down the fort because apparently the true JSA has been captured by somebody. We really don't know.
They've disappeared.
Yeah, we don't know what is going on at this point. The main plot of this book is that Jade is trying to keep the team together and keep them more respectable, more honorable, not as violent, don't go too dark or whatever. And a lot of them are very upset about absolute power and the JSA being kidnapped. So they're, we got to get out there. We got to go get them now. So there's this divide happening within the JSA. What else?
Jade is very clearly trying to carry on the same tone that the original JSA mystery men are about, right?
That's the really good way to put it.
Superheroes, and they're not your like 90s and early 2000s edgy DC heroes, right?
They're not your Justice League Task Force. They're your
no, not at all. They're a lot more classical hero. They're only going to use the absolute minimal amount of force that they need to in order to get the job done. And they're not going to, there's not going to be any blurred lines between hero and villain.
Right. There's no discussions with that. Also, quick note before we go on, Andrew, I just noticed this right now. Did you notice Jesse's boots down there in the bottom?
Oh,
that's
I like
awesome.
That touch, actually.
Yeah,
I do like that touch. That's a little throwback
Johnny
to her
Thunder.
Old shirt.
Well, it's her dad's logo,
and her dad's logo,
So I just noticed that right now. I really like that.
I didn't notice that prior.
This is what we're talking about, guys. Andrew's warning about the dangerous territory is Flash territory. That's where this gets really dangerous. But dicey. So we then we close out the issue with the reveal that the JSA is in the Tower of Fate and they're being surrounded by demons and they're all under attack. We literally have no idea what they're doing. We just know they're alive now.
We don't know how they got there. We don't know why they're there.
We have no idea what's going on. But then we do get a second epilogue, if you will, which reveals that Obsidian, who spent the entire issue very much being that 90s sort of character, like, Jade, why don't we go out there and just crack heads? Like, we should be doing that. And, really fostering that tension divide between the team. So he's revealed to be Johnny Sorrow. And then we discover there is a new incarnation of the Injustice Society ready to take off and fight. And that's sort of all we get. Because then then we go into the ads and everything. So, do you want to start with the JSA? Do you want to start off our talk about it after my recap, or do you want me to go?
Hit us off. Start us off.
All right. So, at the top, this book is curious. I'm torn on it because there are some things that I really like in it, concept-wise, but there are also concrete things that I'm very, very much against. So I really, really like this idea. I told you this earlier. As much as I hate the idea of everything is canon that DC has been doing since Dark Knight's Death Metal, I can give props and I admire when a given writer, as stupid as the idea is, really tries to use it, really tries to play with it, really respects it, right? And in this issue, what really got me there is that right here, that's the 90s Sandman that they tried to make into the edgy, like, I'm younger, I can be, more brutal. Nobody's mentioned him since the 90s. Yeah. And now Jeff Lemire brought him back and made him a JSA member again. Like, it's impressive to me. Right? Like, I might not like why he's here with the whole everything is canon, but this is the sort of stuff I like
playing with the cards that you're dealt.
Exactly. It's playing with the cards you're dealt with in a good hand and not just sort of throwing them out there to go, look, I have cards.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I honestly, that actually might be about where the things I like about this book end.
Yeah.
The art's pretty okay.
Art's
honestly,
solid.
It's so I actually when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is like a better Scott Collins. Like that's what it feels like to me. Like it's a better version of Scott Collins art, which is like Scott Collins art isn't great, but it's got like the thinner lines, the heavier definition on everybody's like noses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just my pull away from it. Oh, and I like seeing the second Wildcat.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like I have no real affinity, or I couldn't tell you a story. I just like her as a character. I just like seeing her around. It's cool. So yeah, aside from that, we got to address the elephant in the room, because while there's some interesting stuff here, there's some also questionable character stuff going on here. Obviously the Obsidian stuff was revealed. Like honestly, and like when I was reading it, I thought Obsidian had fallen victim to the same thing, because I was like, why is he acting? And then the
why
reveal,
is he
I was
so
like,
out of character right
right.
now?
And then I was like, oh, reveal, got it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's why.
Yeah, right. And so, and then I also just like, I do like the generational nature of the JSA, that they try more than the Justice League. So I like you know, these are the kids, and then there's the parents, and they're trying. I like when they build on that. It's a good differentiator. But the biggest question mark that comes up is Jessie Quick, our girl Jessie Quick, right here. So when we first see her in this book, it's this really awesome scene where one of the bad guys, they're captured, but instead of going down, they all have like a suicide pact. The leader tries to get himself. Jessie snatches the gun before he could even pull the trigger. It's classic speedster stuff. Very, very, very awesome.
Very easy, like paint by numbers speedster usage, and that's fine because it works.
Yeah, exactly.
That moment works basically every time you use it, unless you're just really bad at writing.
Unless you're really bad at writing, and you're working on
that's like screwing up spaghetti and meatballs, right? Like you gotta really work to screw up spaghetti and meatballs.
Well, I mean, meatballs can go really bad, really, really fast, depending on what meat you use. But
sure.
Speaking of bad meat being put into the ingredients mix, so like I was saying, the Infinity Inc., the younger team here, there's a rift because half of them want to be like Jade and continue on the JSA being like mystery men. The other half are angry at the current state of the world for the JSA being gone and everything that happened with absolute power, like the heroes being depowered, captured, tortured, all that stuff. So that's where we get this weird divide. But and so, like, when we look at this team shot here, you can sort of see the divisions are easy, right? Like, Obsidian wants to be more brutal. Wildcat wants to be a little more brutal. So does Sandman. But Dr. Midnight and Our Man and Jade, they're more closely linked to the JSA, so they want to keep those, like, ideals. But then we get Jessie, who... It's so bizarre. So if you guys know Jessie, if you've read anything with Jessie, she is she's got like troubles like we all do, but she's very optimistic in the way she tries to handle things. She's very motherly, I would almost say, because
she's usually pretty well put together.
Yeah, I mean,
like, because there was that time where she was freaking running her business and all of that as well, and it was like, but she still did the superheroing thing when she needed to. So like, she had it together. Granted, that was pre-52 continuity.
Oh boy. Well, to be fair, this is just as you and I have just reviewed from going over the Williamson Flash run. Technically, this is pre-New 52 Jessie, who was just trapped in that weird Speed Force limbo with Max.
True.
I'm just being pedantic. I'm just being an ass.
But you are correct. You are correct. Pedantic or not, like that is correct. That is a correct statement.
But it has no bearing. But
yeah, because that's not what they were going for, obviously.
Yeah.
She's acting so far out of character here. So even though there have been moments where Jessie has gotten angry, there are some fairly significant ones. There was a time during Terminal Velocity, best Flash arc probably ever, where Wally West, in an attempt to kind of kickstart and motivate Bart Allen, Impulse, whom he was supposed to be mentoring for his Aunt Iris, he, in front of Bart, tells Jesse that she is going to be the one to be the next one to bear the mantle of Flash should something happen to him.
Yeah.
And he does this right in front of Bart, because Bart would obviously feel somewhat entitled to that, and instead he's giving it, saying that Jesse would be the next one to have that. Well, he was doing that in kind of a manipulative manner. He was being a bit of a prick in order to motivate
Bart, yeah.
right? And so when Jesse later on realizes that, he just feels some kind of way about it. And fair enough, right? It's like, hey, that's a bit of a dick move, right? Like, I wouldn't expect that out of you. You were,
out of Wally, yeah, like
yeah,
totally out of left field.
Yeah, a little bit out of character, a little bit out of left field. His reasoning for it, you can kind of understand, but it's still like Jessie was completely within her rights to feel some kind of way about that, right? So she was upset about that. Another moment is during the Savitar arc, wherein the real Savitar, not the CW thing, for the love of God. Oh, God in heaven. Where this is shortly after the Terminal Velocity arc, where Wally, for the first time, had entered the Speed Force, the same thing that trapped Barry, right? And he was gone for a long time. The same thing that had trapped other speedsters before him. He went in, and he was able to come out. And this is when he started mainlining the Speed Force.
Yeah.
And this made him completely separate and unique from all other speedsters, because all the other speedsters tap into the Speed Force when they're utilizing the powers, whereas Wally mainlines it and is constantly flowing through him. There's this more recent idea that started with Jeremy Adams' run, where Wally was really chosen by the Speed Force, is the way that they describe it, and which is kind of weird when you're talking about just kind of this universal force.
Yeah,
that's a little okay. All right, DC, like that's a little. I'm a Wally guy, but that's a little much.
Same, like
right?
You know me too, Andrew. It's like I personally hate like chosen one stories. So you throw that onto like my favorite guy, and it's like.
It's like you didn't need to do that. Like,
it doesn't add anything. It doesn't add anything.
Or at the very least, you didn't need to state it, because we could, as readers, we could already tell, like, okay, there's something special about Wally. He has the strongest connection to the Speed Force, yada yada. He mainlines it. He had Speed Force Nirvana, so on and so forth. Well, the reason why that's significant is because afterwards, yeah, exactly. Boom. I knew exactly. The page popped into my head immediately.
I knew it would. I knew it would.
Such a great page, but. The reason why all that's significant is because after that, there became a moment, or a period of time rather, where all the other speedsters started losing their connection to the Speed Force. They started losing their powers, and they were blaming Wally. And Jessie had kind of a blow up at him because she thought she was no longer able to do this thing that she's capable of doing because of his new connection to the Speed Force, it being so much stronger than everyone else's. They were basically acting as though he was sucking up all the Speed Force for himself. Well, it gets revealed that it was really Savitar and his acolytes that were doing this. But nonetheless, Jessie Quick was super in her feels about it, right? Because she could no longer access the Speed Force. Fair enough. Again, that's something worth being upset about. And eventually she realizes, oh, okay, this is not Wally's fault. It's this schmuck's.
Right.
But the reason all of that setup is to get to this. The way I described it to you in Discord is the best way I could possibly describe it. I'm like, this is just a hysterical woman right now.
It is, and it is
and I didn't want to use that term with my girl Jessie Quick. I love Jessie.
Of course we do, but this interaction here is textbook that. So the reason Andrew brings that up, all of that history of Jessie to show how level-headed she is to contrast with what we are looking at on this page. And this is where both this issue, I don't know if I would necessarily say it falls apart, but definitely like sticks out to us as like a what the hell is going on here.
This is where all of a sudden it stuck out like a sore thumb.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
You did that with a character I love, and I know.
A character we love and a character we know doesn't act like this. So basically what you're seeing here is, for those of you who don't know, Our Man and Jessie are married. They've been married for, gosh, forever. I don't even know how long. Like way back John's JSA run.
Yeah.
So they get into this tiff, apparently, about gosh, what's his name? Rex, right? Like, there's like 7 different. I'm just gonna say Hour Man because there's like 9 different Hour Men. So
I think it's Rex.
I think it is Rex, but I don't want to get letters. So Hour Man basically, or let me restart. So with that whole divide going on with the JSA, Jesse is on the side of we need to go out there and be proactive and take action. Our Man doesn't like that. He basically is like, what are you doing? Like, why are we popping off like this? Like, why are you going so crazy? You're not even talking to me. And Jesse just sort of has a very generic, like, you don't, like, I have to run things by you. You don't control me. I can do what I want sort of conversation. And she ends it with, like, the world is on fire. The JSA needs to adapt, fight back. The man I fell in love with would have been the first one to take action, right? She's definitely, like, she's being hysterical here.
She's talking in a way and using all the types of phrasing, the kind of like emotional manipulation digs that an angry woman does when she's in an argument with the man she's in a relationship with, where she goes for those like emotional jabs.
I mean, the I guess it's panel 4 and 5. That to me is like the perfect summation of what's happening here, where Jesse goes, "What? Now I have to run everything by you first?" And Our Man just goes, "That's not what I meant, and you know it, babe." Like, he knows. He's like, but the team is on the verge of falling apart here. We should at least be on. He's trying to take that, let's talk about it route.
He's trying to bring the temperature down. He's trying to de-escalate.
Or at least, if not de-escalate, but at the very least, like, just talk about what's going on. Like, I want to know what's going on with my wife. Like, just, I'm in the dark here. And she just blows up at him. So, like, you have all the stuff Andrew was talking about, and then on my end, like, what got me about this is, if you guys have ever read any of the old JSA stuff, when Our Man and Jesse were developing their relationship, they had strife, they had problems, but it was never this childish. Like, it was never this.
This is like some high school stuff.
That's exactly it, right? And Jesse and Our Man were always like, they were sort of always like, how do you put this? Your high school friends who got married, but like did the actual growing up and maturing the entire way along.
They did the work. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This feels just like your teenage friend who never got a job or went to college or did anything and is just mean. It's not Jesse. This isn't how she would interact with Our Man of all people. Like, she loves Our Man. Like, I wouldn't say they're like Lois Lane and MJ, but okay, let me rephrase that. They're not that well known as them, but they're on that same sort of level. Like, they truly are like a power couple meant to be together.
They're a ride or die power.
Yes, that's the best way to put it. And so everything that's happening right here doesn't feel like Jesse. And as two massive Jesse Quick fans, Flash fans, so like what I was saying to Andrew is, she's only come back into continuity in the last like 2 or 3 years. Once New 52 hit, she was gone. Like, we had not seen
everybody that wasn't Barry was gone.
Pretty. But I mean, like, Wally eventually came back, and just not her. Her and Max were gone forever. We just got them back.
Yeah, just got them back.
And this is the first time we're really getting Jesse, like a story for Jesse that's not like, oh, I'm in the team for Flash right now. With nothing wrong with that. That's just how storytelling happens sometimes. Yeah. And just to have her be so character assassinated for almost no reason, it doesn't feel right. And it's super disappointing because this is Jeff Lemire. Like, he's a good writer. Like, this guy
is a good writer.
Knows what to do. His Green Arrow run for New 52 was one of the best comics I've read in a long time. And this is just, I don't know. It's worrying is what it is.
Yeah, because there, to your point earlier, there's some interesting stuff set up in this issue, but this stuff with how out of character Jesse, of all characters, to be out of character in this, like, that's the one that you're immediately I'm gonna raise my eyebrow, right? Probably both of them, and be like, what are we doing here, Jeff?
Like, why are they fighting? What is happening? This isn't
and why are they fighting in this childish manner, right?
Super to reinforce that point, because I just remembered it after I flipped to this page, but like it is that childish angle where, like, right here, Jesse's like, that's why we need, Sandman's like, look, we need to like reassemble, refocus, we need a plan. And Jesse goes, no, you gotta just do it. And our man's like, okay, we need to calm down. Like, you're just going to go off on secret missions and, like, not even tell me. And then Jesse's like, since when are you my keeper, Rick? And Rick, so it's Rick. It's not even Rex.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
See, that's what I meant. And then, Rick shoots back like, that's not what look, this isn't the time or place for this. And then in this fight, she yells at him for like, oh, you aired our dirty laundry in front of the whole team. And it's like, he didn't. You were the one who decided to like torpedo this. If anything, a teammate asking about other teammates going on secret missions without telling people, pretty par for the course. That's pretty standard. I would have questions too. Like if Andrew all of a sudden disappeared for like a week and then he came back, he's like, oh yeah, no, it was cool. I was just doing stuff. I'd be like, what were you doing? Anything? Just at all? Any indication? It's just a natural curiosity thing. So and here's where I think it really worries me, Andrew, is that we already got the mind control, not real reveal here with Obsidian. I don't think they would do it again for Jesse. Like, I don't think they would use that same trope twice. So that makes me worried, like, oh, this is something we have to deal with. Like, this is her now. And it's just super disappointing.
Yeah. I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to read issue 2.
I try.
Hey, Toots. But I am really worried about the Jessie stuff right now because she was one of those characters where for this whole freaking time when we didn't have anybody that was the Flash family, when we didn't have Bart, we didn't have Jesse, we didn't have Max, we didn't have Jay. I'm like, where are these characters? I miss these characters, right? Every bit as much as I was missing Wally's kids.
Yeah.
This is the Flash family, the thing in its entirety. Honestly, sans Barry. Barry is only tangentially Flash family as far as I'm concerned because he wasn't there for that whole deal.
I mean, that's what Thawne says.
Yeah.
When he takes over his body, he's like, oh, Flash family, that's more of a Wally thing.
And that was a correct take.
Yeah, I really like that line.
Absolutely correct take. So, unless there's some, I don't know, emotional strife and manipulation happening via the powers of other characters, and that's why tensions seem like they're augmented really high. Like, if you do that, okay, sell it to me well, please.
Yeah.
But, and I'll do that, and I'll be like, okay, all right, I can handle that. Because I just don't ruin Jesse, man.
Just don't ruin Jesse. Like, it
please.
I'm getting flashbacks to Heroes in Crisis. Like,
yes.
Like, the same sort of like, oh, one of my favorite speedsters is acting like a brat for no reason.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Just please, Lemire. I know you're a good writer, and I know you know how to do your homework.
We know you have it in you. We know it's there. It's just, please pull it off. Right?
Yeah.
It's such a bummer. Yeah, I think that's really all we have to say about it is potentially interesting setup for the rest of the team, but this is hyper worried. Like, this is what I feel about Jesse, how I would have predicted I would have felt about Gale writing X-Men. Right? Like, right. Oh, everything is bad now. What's happened? Oh, man, it's coming. That's what I feel about this. It
right.
Sucks.
This is how I expected to feel with handling characters like Gambit, like Rogue, like Kurt,
like
right?
Wolverine,
like Logan, and to our great surprise and joy, she is writing the best X book right now, not just of the current slate, but like the best X book of the last decade.
It is bonkers. Like you went through that recap. I'm like, dude, can we just go back and talk about Uncanny 4 again? Because that book is so good.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else to say about this. It would just be more being frustrated with how Jesse was handled would be the main thing.
No, I'm right there with you. I think the stamp on this issue, on this series, on this topic is, please don't let us down, Lemire. Cautious sounds too optimistic. We're wary.
Yeah, already wary. Wary.
But like
interested,
not just wary.
But wary.
Yeah, there you go. Like, we definitely have those red flags that are popping up in our head, like very, very hard from 2 pages.
Yes.
All right. So with that, okay, we have technically 2 more books to talk about if we wanted to. We are also running a little long. What is your schedule like? What do you want to? What works for you?
I think we could quick touch on Batman.
Okay,
and
cool.
then end with Absa Soups.
Definitely. All right. So, Batman. We are back for our second issue of Chip Zdarsky's all-in Batman run. Let me ask you a question at the top here. Did Jorge Jimenez draw the other issue? Because I feel like, was it this guy? Because I feel like the
same
art
guy, yeah.
That's crazy. I feel like the art was way different in the last issue compared to this one. Here, I can probably.
I think it was the same guy, unless I'm completely misremembering. It is possible I'm misremembering. Maybe it was Jimenez.
I am not finding the. Oh yeah, here I am. Yeah. Okay, I was right. It was Jimenez last issue.
It was Jimenez. Okay.
Yeah, he's right down there in the corner, and then, yeah, as we go through this is very clearly Jimenez.
Oh yeah, that's super. He's got a super distinctive style.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, like that is key. Like that Jimenez right there.
Yeah, that's some Jimenez work right there for sure.
So yeah, at the top, I think that's the first thing I want to comment on with this Batman issue is that they already did a artist, like a filler artist thing, and that sort of bugs me because I'm like, it's your second issue, really?
Yeah. And Jimenez is supposed to be the main artist on this run,
the main artist on it all. That's what really was really taking me by surprise because he's supposed to be the main artist. We've only been 1 issue in, and I also feel like he's got such the distinct, beloved, close to what I would consider nowadays like DC house style, to then swap it with this artist who's not necessarily bad. It's just very jarring, and it sort of left me a little off kilter while I was reading this issue.
Well, it was strange that it was just, as you said, it was strange that it was so soon. It was so quick.
Yeah, just like 1 issue. Very weird. But so, if you guys remember, we are picking up from the last issue where Mayor Nakano was shot at the very end of it. It turns out he actually died. I was actually very, very surprised that he died, like, for real.
Dead.
I thought that was going to be like a last page, like, or like, because they ended with him getting shot. I thought here it would have been like, hi, I'm in recovery.
Much like what they're obviously going to do with Iron Lad and Ultimates.
Yeah, that's exactly, 100%. So from there, we just have Batman doing a lot more investigating of Mayor Nakano's sort of life to get to the bottom of it. We start to see the rumblings of Gotham politics picking up in his place with the Court of Owls and Eddie Nigma putting in their choice for a mayor, who's basically going to be a puppet. Then, yeah, just lots of confrontations. Batman's there, Court of Owls, yada, yada, yada. I feel like I'm not really missing anything here. We get more discussion about Bruce's supposed brother, and it's
which is not an interesting element of the plot to me.
It's really not. It's not an interesting element, but I will compliment this. So obviously Bruce is like, did my dad really cheat on my mom? Do I really have a brother? And he goes to Dr. Tompkins to ask her about it. And she admits, like, yes, your father did have an affair. It was a mistake. He told your mother. They worked it over. That did happen. And then when he goes, he's like, I get that. I can understand. They were human. But the fact that they would have a secret child, and Leslie goes, no. Like, I don't care. Like, yes, he had an affair. They loved you. Like, they loved their kids. They would have not hidden any of you. And I was like, I like that. I like that little element there. I don't know. It adds something to the Waynes. Again, it's not really, I don't care about this plot line, but I thought that was a nice interjection. So from there, we get all of the protesters from the last issue who believe that Bruce Wayne's attempts to revitalize Gotham are like, I don't even know what they're
nefarious or
about.
something.
Yeah, nefarious.
Or like ulterior motives.
Yeah, conspiracy and all that. So they boil over to the point where they break into Wayne while he's there. You get this really awesome scene where
this was a cool moment right here.
Like, so this little girl who Dr. Tompkins is treating, she leaves as Bruce is coming in. When Bruce goes down and sees the rioters, she gets caught up in it, and one of the rioters grabs her and is like, like threatening her, is assuming she's a bad guy, and I love that red like image right there. Like Bruce just goes
All of a sudden,
bat
Bruce
mode.
sees red. This person
Yeah,
just
like-
put his hands on a little kid.
Like he's so done. So he goes full bat mode, rips his arm off, like almost puts him down, threatens to put him in the hospital for a month. It's an awesome moment. And then he has a gun pointed at him, and we get Commander Starr. He shows up. He saves the day. Hooray! I know it's such a dumb name, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it because it's so dumb and they committed to it.
It feels deliberately dorky.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think it's deliberately hokey.
So then, from there we get Batman and Gordon go to investigate Nakano's house, and we get the reveal that apparently she was having an affair with Gordon, and he pulls a gun on Batman because I guess the implication here is that he was the one who shot Mayor Nakano, because he's like, I was defending myself.
That it reads.
Yeah. We obviously don't know because this is the last page, is the next page. But yeah, the issue ends with Gordon sort of breaking down, pointing a gun at Batman, and then both of them collapsing to the floor, and that's where we'll pick back up. So all in all, story-wise, a pretty solid issue, aside from the whole brother thing, but that's not, what are you going to do about that? That's going to be there. So the two things I really wanted to highlight were, one, this page of Commander Starr, did he have that scar before?
I don't remember him having that in the first.
I feel like they're really highlighting that, and I feel like that's there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just popped it open. He does have it, but it is like severely reduced. So like this is his
Maybe
first...
it's just hard to see in that panel. Oh, I see.
Like it's very reduced, and that's how it is for the rest of the issue, because he gets a couple more face shots. See, like the name's Commander Starr, and it's very, very slight. This artist for this issue clearly emphasized
he played it up a bit.
Yeah,
more,
he played it up. So he did have that. So that I don't have any point to that. All of my points on it are null and void now. I got to pull that issue back up, and then I really wanted to ask you. Well, I have a discussion point, but about Gordon. I wanted to ask you about like what you thought about this Gordon reveal here at the end. But I will let you, if you have any other thoughts before getting into like a discussion point, I'll give you that moment.
No, I don't really have anything else, because I was honestly, we had just brought up the Gordon thing, and so that was going to be the next transition moment.
So then, let's talk. Let's talk Gordon. Basically, my question is very basic. What do you think of this development? What do you think of this moment? What do you think of what we're seeing here with Gordon drawing a gun on Batman?
So I think this whole reveal is really weird, because him drawing a gun on Batman lands super wrong for me. Because he knows, though he doesn't know Bruce's specific history, obviously, he does know that Batman has an issue. He doesn't use guns and things like that. Like so that, and Bruce's reaction almost also felt equally out of character. The way that he kind of goes, "You're going to draw a gun on me? Right?"
Yeah.
The way that it reads on the panel is like, whoa, like, I get it. Like, I don't want a gun drawn on me either, man. But like, he came across as out of character. And then the other bit is this whole thing where like he was having an affair with the mayor's wife, which then makes her not seem as sympathetic in that last issue, because it was revealed in that issue that her husband, the mayor, was having affairs. So her being indignant over that is like, you're a hypocrite. Like, both of you are wrong. Right?
Like, everybody is bad here.
Yeah, and so I think that's probably one of the frustrating things so far with this run for me, where it's like nobody a good person right now. Like, everybody is having an affair with somebody else, and like people are acting out of character.
The Desperate Housewives of Gotham. Yeah, 100%.
Dude, no, I'm not even joking.
No,
like,
I know.
That's kind of what it feels like. Like, what are you talking about right now? Like, come on, guys.
I'm very much with you there, but also like, just overall, all of this feels weird. Like, it feels weird to make Gordon be the one to be having an affair with somebody higher up. Like, not that he's not human, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like he has a code or something more than that. So to put this on Gordon feels really, really weird. And then to your point about Batman's reaction, I think where you're getting that dissonance is that he's reacting to this like it's personal, like he's pointing it at Bruce. And Gordon doesn't know that. So, you know, he's like, you're pointing it at me, the kid whose parents were killed. Like, he doesn't know that. So
yeah, that's information that he doesn't have.
Right. So Batman's reaction is way, way over the top. Like, or not, you know what I mean? Like, to Gordon, it's going to be way over the top as a reaction. We understand where it's coming from.
It's not a Batman reaction.
Right. It's not. So, like, my takeaway from this is that I sort of like the concept of this base scene of somebody that Batman trusts being forced into a situation where for some reason he thinks that he has to like pull a gun on him, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily to cover up an affair or anything like that. I just like that idea of, oh my God, the Batman ally is pulling a gun on Batman. How does Batman deal with that? How does he navigate? I like the things that could come from this.
Yeah.
The execution is awful. The execution here is not good. I also just this post reaction was weird to me too, because again, he's going into full Bruce mode. He's like, "Oh, the gun! It was. What do I do? I'm so shocked." And it's like, dude, right now,
all of a sudden he goes.
Right now,
into
you're Batman.
like, yeah, he just like slumped into a fetal position practically. And it's like, what is happening right now?
Like, I get what Zdarsky's going for. It's like one of your best friends is betraying you in a way that you never would have expected. But it's also
Correct.
like,
and that would
but
like,
it's Batman,
hurt anybody. But like, this is not just anybody.
You're right. This is not just anybody. This is Batman. He's not going to let that affect him until he gets back to the Batcave and he stares at like Gordon's glasses in a case for 4 hours. He's gonna be mission focused. So, yeah, it's weird. I don't really know what to make of it. I think I'm still going to be reading because I'm still interested in Commander Star and whatever's going on there. This is
whatever's going on with Nigma, but
and
that,
Eddie,
like, right now, like this was a weird second issue of this run for me,
which is so disappointing because we were so excited for that first one. That first one was amazing, but then this one just pulls out all the stops in the bad way. Like, you get your new artist, you have all these weird plot twists.
Pulls out the rug.
Pulls out the rug. That's the best way to put it. So, who knows, guys? Who knows how this will all fold out? Hopefully, next issue we get more Commander Star because that guy is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is to say about this issue.
All right, then. With that, let's go on to presumably our final topic of the night, arguably the one everybody was waiting for. Oh, I have like 9 different comics open right now. I need to find the right one. Absolute Superman. Wait, why didn't it change? What? That's not even open.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm dumb. Absolute Superman. We are finally here. We finally have the final of the 3 first Absolute books. It's such a weird sentence to say because there are more coming like next year, so I can't say like the first. Weird. You guys know what I mean. We have Absolute Batman.
It's like the first
Absolute
wave.
Wonder Woman. First wave. There we go. Thank you. That is exactly what I was looking for. So we got Batman, we got Superman, we got Wonder Woman, or we got Batman, we got Wonder Woman, we got Superman. And yeah, so here we are with Superman by Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval. So the book is basically, it's very Krypton focused. The general Krypton plot is that it was a very hierarchical society where
it was a class system for sure.
Yeah, like, so these people with like the sun, they're part of the Science Guild. They're on top. The people with the S, they are the laborers, and they are, like, they're slaves. They go into the mines. They do all the janitorial work. Very, very hardline caste system. Not just so I didn't take this as like an American commentary. Like I've seen a lot of people saying.
I've seen a lot of people do that. For me, it was more like an older like European.
That's exactly
system.
like a kingdom. Like that. Like that's what I was getting at too. So that's what my takeaway was from it. I'm glad we're on the same page. But we then get Jor-El. He goes into a mine that has been reportedly, what do you even want to call it? It's having problems. It looks like it might collapse. He goes in. it turns out that, something is happening down here in the depths of Krypton, and this green core lava, I think is what the best approximation would be, starts erupting up, and Jor-El realizes it. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna stay on the Jor-El part and then go to the Superman part, just to keep it all condensed and easy. Oh wait, is that the end of the Jor-El part? No. Here's the end of it. Yeah. So Jor-El, he goes and he realizes Krypton's blowing up. He goes back to Laura. And we basically get the sort of the standard Superman parent story where Jor-El's like
now we're back to something we're pretty familiar with.
Yeah, so we get that familiar bent. Jor-El's like, the planet's about to explode. Laura's like, well, what are we going to do? And they turn their attentions to Kal. And they're like, we're gonna get through this together. We're gonna I'm so sorry. And that's where we end. So first, I guess I'll just start off. A couple things I liked about, what am I doing? There's an entire other half of this book I'm not even recapping. So that is the Jor-El story. That is the setup for Krypton's destruction. The other half of this book involves checking out what Superman is up to on Earth. So what he is doing is he is currently hanging out in Brazil, and I guess in this absolute world, there's still like really big slave mining labor down there, being run by the Lazarus Corporation with peacemakers as their sort of boots on the ground enforcers. And what Superman is doing is they're having all these people go down and mine this ore. He basically goes in
very unsafe mines.
Yeah, very unsafe. Asbestos everywhere. No condition, no safety precautions. Soups just goes in there, crushes it all up, and says all right, diamond, there you go, and does all the work for them to sort of try and help them get a better life. And we sort of see him interacting with the migrant workers. Why do you keep fighting? What is up with just sort of this bit was very much you've seen it in every alien visitor sort of media where a random person is like, hey, what's going on, man? And they talk really quick, and then he's like, that was weird. Oh, well, let's go. Sort of in Terminator when it's like your clothes, give them to me. They don't know he's a Terminator, but they know it's weird. But they're like, all right, we'll talk to you. I mean, yeah, they get naked or whatever, but that was the basic point is there. So eventually, the Peacemakers and the Lazarus Corporation discover that Superman is doing this. He's, basically making the workers' lives better, and they're not going to stand for that. So they go for a raid on Kal-El's living abodes, and that leads to our first absolute Superman fight, where he is. It's pretty cool. I mean, not a lot to say about it. It's Superman. It's Superman being Superman.
The art's really great.
It's fantastic. He's sweeping through everybody. He's taking all the bullets. He eventually gets downed by an electrical charge or by these drones. And in doing so, he reveals a sort of variant of his solar flare powers that he got during New 52, but in a way that also sort of, I guess, combines with his heat vision.
Yeah.
These 2 pages are all we really get of that attack, and then the aftermath. So
yeah, because it clearly drains the crap out of him as well. Because he's got that AI talking to him in his head that your charge, your solar charge, presumably is heavily depleted. You're drained. You're drained.
You're going down. Yeah, and so from there, because he is drained, he tries to fight again, but Agent Lois Lane secures him, and they're going to take him into the Lazarus facility, presumably. It looks like there's a Brainiac who is in charge of the Lazarus Corporation. This is literally all we see.
Yeah.
I liked this because this reminded me a lot of the original Ultimate Universe. It's a version of a character we know, but sort of more realistic and a little darker. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. All these bottle cities, I don't know if the viewers can see it, but they're screaming. They're like, kill us, help us, oh God. And it's like, wow, Brainiac's going crazy here. We also see the Kents that don't exist. The Kents are not a thing here in this continuity. Their farm has been bought out and left to ruin by the Lazarus Corporation.
Yeah.
And so that is basically the start here of Absolute Superman. We get the introduction to Krypton and its destruction. We see that Kal-El is currently doing the strange pilgrimage sort of thing where he's just going around Earth trying to do what he can to help people while also learning their ways. He has now gained the attention of what looks to be a very militaristic corporation of sorts, which will obviously bring him into conflict with Brainiac and the Peacemakers. We have his so that is the basic gist of the Absolute Superman issue. Overall, I would say written pretty well, which is surprising. I'm normally not a fan of Jason Aaron, but I think everything in this issue worked. Even if I will admit that he can get a little heavy-handed or less than subtle at times, where it's like, okay, I clearly know what you're making a commentary on. You didn't go outright and say the commentary, but I know what you're doing, and you're not slick about it, right? Like, not enough to get angry about, but enough to go like, I see you. I know what you're doing.
Yeah. You're not as clever as you think you are.
Yes, exactly. I think it is a good absolute take on Superman so far. I like the fact that he doesn't have his parents. He's very much the outsider more so than he was before. There's also this bit. I don't know if you caught this, but right here, he actually sets up like a solar panel to charge himself.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I thought that was a nice little interesting detail that sort of keeps with his character, but also reassures us that this place sucks. Like this isn't.
Well, because he doesn't have the Fortress of Solitude here. He doesn't have this fancy Kryptonian tech, right?
He literally I didn't even think about like the fortress and stuff. Yeah, he has none of that. He just has a pad, some wires, and some tin walls. If that.
He basically just makes his own little cot of solitude, effectively in the Absolute universe. So what I like about this
cot of solitude
is
I love that.
there are a lot of things that we are familiar with, like things that we already know, but there's a twist to them, right? There's a tweak to them that makes sense within the confines of this Absolute universe that we're being sold on. Like the whole bit that Jor-El was somebody who was working to become a scientist, right? And he was kicked out of that though and cast out because of a prediction that we are used to hearing from Jor-El, which that something is wrong with our planet. We're doing something to the planet that is going to destroy it. And if anybody wants to, say that, hey, that's commentary on, global warming, blah, 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 blah. The whole Krypton being destroyed from Kryptonians, like mishandling it,
like that is
not new.
That is like 30s. Like that was probably one of the first things like Joe Siegel wrote down about Superman.
Yes, this is not news. That's super old. So if you want to make that comparison, you're going to have to apply that comparison and pretend that the guy that claimed to invent the internet also was around when they originally created Superman. So you'll have to work hard to sell me on that.
He might be.
He would probably claim it.
He probably would. Honest to God, he would.
So that's something familiar, right? They're still utilizing things that we are familiar with within the story beats of the character of Superman. This is the more interesting part of it all to me, though. Superman is who Superman is because of Jonathan and Martha.
Yes. Because
he was raised by these Bible Belt, salt of the earth Americans. Right. I mean, that's
the tipping point for like 90% of Elseworld stories, right? Like, what if Superman landed anywhere else? Like, that's what Red Sun is. Like, yeah.
So now you have somebody who is self-raised or raised by an AI. How are you going to differentiate him? Because he's not going. You can't sell me on the idea that he's the same type of character. He's not the same type of person because he doesn't have that nurture.
Well, I agree with you. But also add a slight caveat where I agree with you that he should not be the same character because he's going to be raised not by the Kents, like they're not there. But I do want to remind you that
he was raised by loving parents up to a
exactly.
point as a young kid. He's definitely not a toddler.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. So there's potential to at least have him get the seeds planted of like being a good person.
He for sure would have a baseline there.
And that's what I think could be interesting is we see him try to navigate how to understand that baseline in his own way, without his parents' guidance, without anything. Because he knows, like, be a good person, care about people, like, look out for others. what does that
help
mean?
The person that looks like they're under the foot of somebody else.
Right. But then what does that mean in the like adult world? Sort of like, as kids, we all think, good and evil is black and white. Like there's a good guy, there's a bad guy, done. Once you grow up, though, everything gets complicated. Everything gets gray. It's not so easy, as we see with all the idiots doing, political discourse lately. Like, you can't just write off people. You can't just blanket statement things. It's never that simple. So I think seeing essentially a child's view of morality and applying it and trying to have that, what am I trying to, like taking a child's view of morality and testing it against the real world. Yeah. Especially with a character like Superman of all people, could have some potential. Again, I'm just speculating, but I would be up for seeing that.
Yeah. Right now, and I don't honestly
also
know.
Crypto.
I hope Crypto's still around.
If he doesn't get in the damn rocket,
Here's my worry though. I worry that if he didn't die off screen with Krypton, that he was going to get killed on screen.
We just survived Sparky. I can't handle another dog.
I'm just saying,
this
man. I'm just saying storytelling tropes and easy heartstring pulls. I'm just saying, if he didn't die off screen, we might have to be forced to seeing him die on screen. I don't really have much else to say on this one other than I found it funny that right now I'm kind of seeing this. Not even Clark, it would just be Kal-El. Yeah. I'm seeing this Kal-El, this Superman, not too dissimilarly in attitude or potential attitude to what we got in New 52.
A little bit. I can definitely see
there are some
that.
Similarities. It's not a one-to-one, but it's certainly closer than this one is to our real Superman.
You're completely right, and I see all of that. I think and generally we all sort of look back on New 52 Superman as like what were we doing here? Like this was so
I feel
weird.
like he would have just worked as a different character entirely.
He would have worked as a different character entirely, and I sort of that's sort of what I'm bringing up here is that like I get that comparison, and I think this will using that concept here in the Absolute universe is going to be more beneficial.
Absolutely.
Because remember, in New 52, they still tried to keep him in the trappings of the Clark we know. So he still had childhood with Lana and Pete, and he had the parents. And so when he goes to Metropolis and he's sort of like a jerk and like an asshole, it's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't track.
But here, since we don't have those trappings of Martha and Pa Kent, and we have him your point is basically my point in this argument is like he doesn't have that established base of Martha and Pa, so now he has to go find out who he is, and so then you can play with that like fish out of water. Am I being a dick? I didn't mean to. Then you can play with it. But when you have him starting Superman after like 25 years on the Earth with Ma and Pa, you can't have him go to the big city and just start acting like a frat boy. It's so weird because that's not who he is.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think you've hit on pretty much all the thoughts I also had for Absolute Superman. The two things I think I would add is, one, because you said it and it really just sparked it in my head, but when you made that note about you see things here that are familiar but different, but also like understandably different, right? Like they're not completely like these peacemakers.
They work within the context of what we're being told is this universe.
Of this universe and of like the general characters, right? Like these are peacemakers. Yeah, we know what the original peacemaker is like. This is a interesting use of them. If you were to say like, oh, these are the Robins, you would go, what the hell? Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would even get that link, but a peacemaker makes sense. And we saw a lot of that also in Absolute Batman with like Alfred and the Court of Owls and his training and stuff. We didn't see that in Wonder Woman. And in Wonder Woman, like that was the book, if you remember when we talked last week, where I was like, I don't know. I'm not feeling this one. Like they're not, like I see Diana, but it's not different enough from the Diana we know. And so I just find it very interesting that seems to be the missing sauce from Wonder Woman at this point. Again, we talked last week. It's clearly a setup issue. We need that second one, but there's not enough there for me to go like, oh, we're in an alternate universe. It's more just like, this is just another Diana story. So that was just an interesting thing that you made me think of. And then, I guess I have two things. I brought this up to you before, but now that we have a show, we might as well bring it up to our watchers. But this page of Superman saving a bunch of people from being shot, this was a preview page that was released, so we've seen it before. And I don't know if you remember, but I pointed it out to you last time that it's really interesting how they portrayed Superman's super speed here, because they gave him this red coloring with and made it very energy like. And there's also some yellow in it. And now, to me, it feels like we're going to get some sort of Speed Force connection here. Like they're really going to make the Speed Force an actual constant rather than a thing that just somebody can tap into sometimes and sometimes not. Because like his suit doesn't have that red color. All he has on his suit that could give that red color is the S. And same with the yellow. But you see it like his face is red there. His entire body gets red. So I don't know if that's anything. It might be. It could be. No idea. Just something to throw out there to look going forward. My third one, and the one I was actually holding on to, is I would be remiss if we ended this show without discussing his powers. Because for those of you who haven't talked to me in the last whenever since they revealed Absolute Superman, you see, I'm going to go to the cover. So you see in his suit, he has these glowing segments. They're on his arm, they're on his belt, and they're on his boots. For the longest time, as Andrew can attest, I've been hoping that it is sort of like an energy storage thing. Like when he fights, it builds up kinetic energy, and then he can like shoot it out or like make stronger punches with it. Something like that. We didn't really get an explanation of what his powers do in that regard, but I noticed during this scene, Andrew, when he unleashes, his entire suit gets it. Like his entire suit charges up. So I have no idea what that means. It's cool. Maybe that means like it is a charge sort of thing. Again, you know what? Maybe that is what it is, because
I think maybe it's from the solar charging that he's doing when he's...
Well, that's what I was about to get to, is that we saw in the solar charging that he clearly like it's not strong, like it's not a lot of power going into him, and he was asleep and interrupted in the middle of it. So then he comes out with a little bit of this stuff, but then if he unleashes solar energy from his eyes, maybe that gets absorbed by the suit. So now the suit is taking in that solar energy, and that's why he's like flaring up
maybe the suit is recycling solar energy.
Yeah, like saving taking the energy in and storing it to weaponize it.
Yeah,
or like weaponize it, keep him going like as like a battery, you know, like if he's traveling space or something like that. But yeah, I'm still really excited about, like, I think it's one of the coolest design elements we've seen in a long time in a comic book.
It is. It looks cool for sure.
And I really, really, really hope that it actually means something and it's not just look cool.
I hope it's not just a cool aesthetic, because it is a cool aesthetic, but I hope it's more than that.
And I would be happy with it being a cool aesthetic, but I feel like the potential is there. The potential is there.
I feel like design choices should be made deliberately.
100%. Unless it's something like, no, actually that argument's dumb. You are 100% correct, and I have no point to that. So, that's basically all I have for Absolute Superman. I'm pretty excited about this one. This one was really cool. I still think Batman takes the number one spot for me, because that issue was just, oh man, that issue was good. But this is a solid first one, and I'm definitely excited to see what else might come.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm certainly looking forward more to the second issue of this than I am of Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
like I think I can best sum up my feelings on what I'm thinking about Absolute Superman with
might be cool.
Might be cool. I finished it, guys. I know it took the entire show for us to do it, but there was no opportunity. But yeah, I definitely have the graphic. It's on everything now. Boom. So yeah, might be cool. Go check out Absolute Superman if you can find a copy. All I've heard is that they're all sold out everywhere, which is kind of surprising. Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman all flew off shelves, and you couldn't get any of them. Good for DC. I'm always happy for a comic book win. I just hope that they can keep that momentum, and it's not just like a speculation flash in the pan sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure.
All right then. With that, well, first off, Reeve, what's going on? Reeve coming in here a little late,
Reeve?
but what's up, our buddy? And yeah, Subhuman, definitely daytime soap operas. And then yeah, Mary, I did get a haircut. I got it a couple weeks ago, but thanks. Yeah, it was getting ridiculously gross long. It was getting like samurai knot length, and I was like, nope, time to go. All right, guys. But with that, I think yeah, we have hit the biggest books of the week, and I think we can wrap it here for tonight. So, as we get out of here, thank every single one of you for coming and hanging out with us, from Mary to Corey to Subhuman to Punk to Reeve to Chuck to Conroy to Taylor Swift. What's his name? Matt. I think that's what it is. Matt.
Yeah,
I was positive it was Matt, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing without verifying it.
Matt.
So Matt and Jonas and everybody else who came and chatted with us while we were hanging out. To everybody who will watch this or is watching this in the VOD replay, thanks for hanging out with us. We couldn't do this without you, and it's a blast for us to come talk, hang out with you, all that fun stuff. I hope you guys join us again next week. So with that, Andrew, you want to let the people know what you're doing? You want to promote anything? What do you got going on?
Everybody check out Chronicles Green over on Rip Ascend. Check out Bloodruth 1 over on Rippaverse. Check out Kneel Before Doomface. Check out the sign-up page for that on Kickstarter by Aaron Sparrow. He has a Kenneth Rocafort cover I got a preview of.
Aaron, hell yeah.
So check that out. I'll promote that again on my weekend streams because I think he's launching tomorrow, if I remember correctly. So definitely support indies like that. And then, yeah, I've got my afternoon stream this coming Saturday. We will also be streaming with Mary Saturday evening for more Hypothetically Speaking. I believe we're going to be sorting Disney characters, if I remember correctly. And she's going to, I think, do a kind of a community check-in, check-up. I don't remember if she has a box or package opening to do as well. Anyway, she'll be doing a check-in with her community as well. But you can find me over there Saturday. Tomorrow's Friday, so Saturday
day
after tomorrow. Yeah. Find me over there, and then obviously community night over on my channel for some. We should be doing the new Mario Party, and then some of the usual nonsense as well Sunday evening. So look forward to that.
Awesome. And yeah, here we go. Bloodruth 6557 books sold, 372,679 as of right now, and that's probably not even up to date because I'm sure there's some information.
It's not. We're over 375 now, but it's not on the front end reflected of that yet.
I'm sure it just takes some time to update. That's why I'm always like, yeah, I know you're higher than that. Do you still have any of the cool? Yeah, go get this one, guys. First time Rip is doing
only
this.
15 bones.
Look at that. Not even. Oh, no, wait, it is 15. It looks like 14 for some reason. I need my glasses on. I was going to be like, it's $1 off.
Black and white, all the inks, line art. Beautiful
Michael
work in that book. He killed it. So check that out. That's a steal for 90-something pages.
Yeah, so definitely go check out all that stuff, guys. So check out all the Rippaverse offerings. Go check out Aaron's comic, which Andrew will probably blast out to all of us once it's actually up. In case you haven't already, go check out in the link or in the description to this video. You can go catch Andrew's first appearance on, Control Z? Is that what it's called? Is that what you guys call it?
Oh, yeah, it was Control Z. It's
Control Z, yes.
Monthly artist podcast that we're doing over at the Rippaverse as well. So you can check that out on our official Rippaverse channel. Yeah,
so they just did their first episode. That link will be down there. I'll keep updating the link whenever they have new ones or whenever there's anything for any of us, anything that me and Andrew have going on, right? So check out all that stuff down there. I don't have it right now because I forgot about it because I was making the Batmite graphic, but as soon as the stream ends, I will add the temporary Discord invite into the description. It'll be live for about 6 hours. You guys can all use it freely, and then it'll shut off, and we'll have a new one next week. So if that's up your alley, come hang out with me and Andrew. We'd love to talk to you. As for me, check out boundingintocomics.com every day where we're putting up new news stories. You can hang out with me tomorrow, Friday night, for Good Mab Ugly, which is just, I'm sure most of the people watching this show probably know that show, but it's just a sort of a community night where I host a stream and talk to you guys about whatever might be on our minds. So come hang out if that's up your alley. then yeah, I will be hanging out with Mary and Andrew on Saturday as well. And then Sundays you can always find me at least in the community night chat. So we're around. You can find us. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us everywhere. Yeah, that's really all I have. Do it. Follow us. Sign up for everything.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate all y'all.
Yep. Chuck says, see you next time. Subhuman says, I'll give the absolute stuff the first story arc before I make my decision to continue or stop. Good
That's
call.
Honestly, usually what I tend to do.
Yeah, first story arcs are kind of what I do as well. And then we have Zero saying, thanks for the ride. Thank you for hanging out with us, buddy. I knew there was a name I forgot, and it was yours. So thank you, Zero, for hanging out with us. And we will see you next week, right? I'm pretty sure that's all we've got going on.
Godspeed, y'all.
We will see you next week, and next week might be cool. Take it easy, everyone. We will talk to you very, very soon.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...